Oh, yeah, it is 6:30. So we'll call this meeting of the select board on November 7th, at 6:30 PM in order. And I'll read my, little spiel at for the start of each meeting. In an effort to make meetings more effective and efficient, the select board has made a change to the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens or others wish to address the select board during the meeting may do so during the public comment portion of the meeting. And this will still reserve for items that are not on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. Once the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public will be able to speak at the end of the meeting if their input is needed, or if there's a special section where they need to have any comments at the discretion of the chair. For participations on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues, such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please don't comment or question in the chat as it is distracting for all. The intent of this new policy is not to stifle community input, but to rather allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. People are welcome to email the members of the select board at any time with feedback or questions. Our email addresses are on the town website and on the sign-in. And so we'll start with public to be heard, so the people to make comments that are not on the agenda. Yes, Chuck.
So as you know, we have a local developer that is attempting to permit a cluster of fourplexes on Route 15, the commercial district, safely away from the luxury zones that we prefer for most of Jericho. And he's been hung up in his permitting since June, as you know, because of section 5.6. This is something that would be easily changed. Probably take 5 or 6 weeks. Short hearing in front of 2 select board meetings, short hearing in front of 2 select board meetings. I came to speak with you about this 6 weeks ago, and you said you were going to speak to the planning commission about it. This is probably the easiest thing possible for us to support affordable housing in Jericho. I'm convinced that a town serious about it would have accomplished it by now. Or if you said you were going to speak with the planning commission about this, I'm just wondering how that conversation went.
I don't remember agreeing to speak to her about it. We did talk
In the middle of September, I spoke and you said you were going to talk to the planning commission about it.
I don't know that I attended a planning commission meeting. I think we have had discussions about what's on their plate as far as the updates that they're working on, and if it includes that table that you talked to us about, the zoning, the density.
So it's been June, July, August, September, October. We have a well-known, local, well-respected developer who wants to build the houses we want away from the luxury neighborhoods that you prefer. This is just, and I think it's a clause that is designed to prevent affordable housing. Everybody agrees it needs to go, easily removed. The planning commission is not accountable to the public, but not accountable to the housing committee. They're accountable to you. I don't understand your reason for waiting so long on taking action.
I have talked to the planning commission. We've had meeting with the planning commission talking about other things as well. And their focus right now, because of the grant ends in December, is to finish the bylaws. And she said that, they would look at it to see if it fit within the structure of the bylaw update.
Is that acceptable to you? This is going to take about 9 months probably to make a very simple change, which is probably the easiest thing our town could do to address the priority that you included in the town plan. You got an excuse, but it's not a reason. The second thing is the housing committee gave you a set of recommendations in the summer of 2023. You did not respond to those. We spent another 6 months developing another set of recommendations that you received in the middle of September. It's been early September. That's been 2 months. So my question is, when are you going to be responding? When are you going to be discussing and when are you going to be responding to those recommendations from the committee that you formed to give you recommendations? You've had them for 2 months.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting about putting it on this meeting's agenda to respond directly to those. And this agenda got out of control with the wastewater stuff. And so it was pushed back to whatever the 11.
And we did recognize what they have said, and a lot of their, the higher priority ones are referring to some. And so again, that comes through the planning commission, not through the select board.
The planning commission is
But
directed
we're
by
gonna-
you.
We
But
have
we're
talked with
gonna,
them.
we're gonna be we are going to be responding to that publicly and formally saying to the planning commission, we want these things.
And some of those you're responsible for and not the planning commission. I mean, you
Can't
have,
speak to them off the top of my head, but I believe that.
you have permit fees that discourage multifamily housing, that are designed to discourage multifamily housing. It's been brought up for years. That's not up to the planning commission. You set the fees.
Are there any other comments, either on Zoom or, here that, are not on the agenda? Yes, certainly.
Short, sweet night.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for an update on where we might be on town. Structure taking over the road, time frame requirements and all that. That's just basically it.
And we certainly appreciate your patience,
Yeah,
but, you have just gotten the information from our town attorney, and we could not get it on this.
Just today. Or
Just today.
Yeah.
So we
okay, that's
Just got it
great.
back from our
Yeah,
attorney.
So we couldn't get it on this agenda. We had initially, penciled it in,
Yeah.
but it didn't come in until today. So it will be on the next agenda. But, I don't know whether, you need to have a backup plan just in case
we did. I talked, checked with Paula and everything else. So I definitely have a backup plan. I'm not trying to
oh, good.
rush you guys or anything else like that. I know that, there's a lot going on and we're probably down at the bottom of the list and I understand that. I just, trying to get an update and see where we stand. That's all.
Yeah, it took a few tries back and forth, trying to get exactly what we were looking for on the, on road policy, but it looks good this time.
I didn't open it yet, but
But-
it only came in a few hours ago.
Right,
Okay,
I just scanned it real fast. Faster.
okay, any time frame or anything on that?
What,
Not that I'm trying to nail you down or anything else, 'cause- and I won't hold your feet to the fire if it comes to that and it's not done, okay?
what I do, is talk, I'll have to talk about it with Paul or whatever, but, if it is what we ended up thinking it was going to be, which I think it is,
Mhm.
based on all the changes, that we will need to send you a copy of that to make sure that you meet the requirements that are in that.
Any of the requirements, and I've talked, and I'm speaking with the rest of them, we can probably modify and take care of whatever needs to be done to get it done.
Okay,
So and I know that, I think, and I'm not gonna say the right terminology of the housing need. Additional dwelling units, ADUs.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are aware if that's an issue or anything else. I think solar was the other thing that was discussed, and we obviously have solar there and everything else like that, so.
and there, and then the end, it ended up based on the, easier just to say to meet zoning requirements that are currently in effect.
Yeah, so basically rather than ping off like, oh, ADUs need to be
Yeah.
allowed and solar panels need to be allowed, we sort of made a step back and made a broader statement, which was basically that nothing in the HOA or whatever, doesn't need a document, and
Yeah.
nothing in the agreement of the housing group can rule out anything that is allowed by anything that's allowed by anybody else in that whatever district you guys are in.
Yeah.
So if you're in rural, whatever district, all the things that can happen in that district have to be allowed in your in your development as
Yeah,
well.
and unless there's something drastically that I'm not aware of, anybody else is aware of, there should not be a problem.
Great.
Okay, so, yeah,
Yeah.
if you say we need to put an airport in the middle of the road, yeah, but it,
Large enough that you could lay this down.
yeah, so we're there, so, but yeah, it just, let us know what we need to do or anything else like that, so.
Question I have, either for Catherine or Paula, is how does it play out? Who is the onus upon to show that the HOA is within the zoning requirements? Like, you take the HOA and have Chris Flynn look at it and have them say like, yep, this is everything in here, nothing in here is contraindicated by the zoning.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, because I think there should be,
Copy of the HOA
Yeah.
laws.
sure,
And
But I don't want, like you were explaining, I don't want to, we can't really talk too much about this, it's not on the
Right.
agenda, but
Yeah.
last time you were saying how there's like different, like within one community, you might have
three
like
different.
three or four different ones. I don't want Chris reading through.
no, we
All
have
of them.
one
One
master
master.
association. They're just three.
But what if a sub one is exclusionary and the master one
Yeah.
isn't? Which one's more
The
like,
master one supersedes all of them.
so why would you have sub ones?
Because it's the way and it's gonna sound really bad,
Yeah,
the way the septic system works.
gotcha.
Like the HOA subsystem that I'm in, the townhouses, use the one leach field septic system down Packard. The other 4 houses reaches the other septic system.
Gotcha.
That's the only one that's really the worst one. All the others are all pretty well connected and everything else. And I think it has something to do with the times that they were built. Like when we first started there was 3 wastewater permits. And got all those combined into one. So there was just a lot of, builder did a lot of wacko stuff just because it was easy. So, but there's just no way to combine all the HOAs into one. Just because of the age of them and different things like that. So that's the main thing. So what I could send you whatever you want, if Paula wants, is lets me know, I can
I
send
think
them.
it goes to Paul or send it to
Okay,
Chris
just
and then they would.
send me a text or email what you want and I'll send it to you.
Okay,
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sorry.
Are there any other comments that are not on the agenda, public to be heard? Either here or online?
no,
Okay.
no.
So then we're gonna move on and talk to SJ about the planning commission. And hi, and just like we ask everybody, why are you interested in the planning?
I think my timeline got pushed around a little, but I've been chair of the Affordable Housing Committee for some time now. And knew that this would be my last year as chair. Was planning to finish out my term in March. And kind of had in the back of my mind that the planning commission might be a nice fit for a next step. I've kind of acquired this weird niche set of connections and knowledge and information about housing. And I think that I've spent a lot of time in educating and advocating for housing in Jericho. And it felt like a natural progression to move to being more effective and looking at policies and regulations and kind of using that knowledge in that way. I ended up stepping away from chair sooner than I had anticipated, really needing to just let go of some of the responsibilities that leadership kind of comes with. And I really wrestled with that decision because service and community are really important to me. And trying to figure out how to continue to serve, but do so in a way that didn't require the same amount of responsibility and time commitment that a leadership role requires. When this position opened up on the planning commission, it seemed kind of serendipitous, the timing anyway. And this is a group of folks that the last couple of years, I've worked really hard for the house to build a good relationship, a strong working relationship between the housing committee and the planning commission. And that has meant that I've attended most of their meetings and worked with most of their members and have developed a nice personal working relationship with those folks. And I'm really excited to be on that team. I think because of that work, that it won't be a heavy lift to kind of get caught up. I've been reading all of their materials and weighing in on a lot of their work up till this point anyway. So I think the transition should be a relatively smooth one, both for me and them. Yeah, and I'm just excited to work with that group.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Try to ask everybody something, but we've been working pretty closely with SJ for a while. So I really don't have a lot. I guess my question, I guess to put you on the spot, a couple months ago, we received a list of recommendations from the Affordable Housing Committee.
You may have
You might be familiar with them. What would be, if you could just pick, I understand it's a committee and you all do things as a committee, but if you could pick, how would you go about implementing those?
One of the questions that I was asked by the planning commission was what I might do differently, or what critique I might have for the planning commission, because I have been attending a lot of their meetings.
My question put you a little bit more on the spot than that. So,
Yeah, but I'm gonna answer that question instead.
sounds good.
My answer to that question was, with a committee or a commission, I apologize, with a commission as large and competent and engaged as their commission is, I think they can work on more than one project at a time. And we have a consultant, we have money that we pay that consultant to do this big project that they're working on now. And I do believe that the planning commission, rightfully so, and I'm appreciative of the work that they're doing. They are getting their hands dirty and making sure that their fingerprints are all over the work of that consultant. And that's appropriate. I also think that they have the bandwidth to do some of these other projects. And I think you heard one of them at public comment.
Correct. Cool.
Cool.
Fair enough. Make a motion to appoint Dube to the planning commission effective immediately to complete Sarah McLeod's term
Ending in 2025.
ending in 2025.
Second that.
Is that town meeting? What might
Mhm.
happen? Is it-
Yes, it was actually April 1st because we,
Yeah,
The new select board does it.
does the appointment, yeah.
so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your service.
Thanks,
Your
guys.
continued service.
All right, moving on, our meeting for tonight is Lynette Walden to discuss the next steps and what to expect for a municipal wastewater system.
Hello, my name is Lynette Cladone. Thank you for asking me to speak tonight. Is it possible for me to share slides?
Yeah, let me just make sure I've got you all set up. Yes, you are good to go.
We'll be able to get a copy of these.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Should I have shared the other screen? Are you seeing the notes and stuff?
We are, which is fine.
Right, stuff.
Default, it's not just us that's struggling.
I know, right?
Sharing that.
I can never get this sharing thing.
Are you seeing?
Got it.
That's good.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you for having me here tonight. Linda had asked me a couple of questions. So I prepared an intro slide really around those questions. And then I have at the end, I have all the slides that I normally give to different towns and villages that are interested in a wastewater project, but that's usually before they've undertaken any work and hired an engineer. So those slides are available if we need to get into them. So again, my name is Lynette Cladone. I'm a professional engineer. My title currently is Senior Water Infrastructure Program Engineer, and I work with Vermont DC Water Investment Division. The questions that Linda posed to me were, how long does a village project take? What options does Jericho have? What have other villages done? What funding is available? And based on your last meeting, I understood that there was a question about a committee. So I wanted to sort of give you a typical project overview. Programmatically, we try and run a lot of our projects the same. So we have 3 steps: planning, design, and construction. And then we break those steps into increments. So 30, 60, 90, which I think you've heard a little bit from John Ashley. At the 30%, we're usually looking at why you need the project, and at 60%, the alternatives, and then 90%, we're usually looking at the selected project. So based on that, the report that John has assembled for you guys is really at what we would call our 60% level. That's really because you don't have like a specific project to move forward with. So what do you need to get there? From your 60% planning report, you really need to do test pits. And there's 2 types of test pits that need to be done. There's the archaeological test pit and the soil backhoe test pit, that where soil scientists look at the different strata and determine if that specific site is suitable for wastewater disposal or not. The next step would be a landowner agreement and getting them to really commit to being allowed to do the project with that land, with a purchase and sales agreement, and then or even an option for a future purchase and sales agreement. And then lastly, finishing out the report with a final selected project. So in Jericho's case, where there's multiple villages involved, the selected project might be phased. It might be different for each village, and you may be there's a number of different paths forward. So, for example, if a landowner backs out, you basically have to cycle back again and look for another site and start over again with the test pits. So you might ask, what else is involved? This is more the work that needs to happen on the town end and not the consulting engineering end. But if you were to move forward with a project, there's a lot of funding applications. There's a bond vote to incur debt, the land acquisition, wastewater ordinance, development of technical, financial, managerial capacity within the town, and creating an actual utility with billing, rate structures, and staff. So, how long will a village wastewater take? The absolute fastest that I know of is about 5 years in West Windsor, and the slowest is currently Arlington with 48 years and counting. What options does Jericho have? You could do nothing. You can keep working on your projects, and you can do anything in between. It's really up to you what you want to do as a community. What have other villages done? So Grafton, at this point in their project, 10 years ago, they decided that they would write a village wastewater ordinance as an interim measure because they didn't want to do nothing, but they didn't feel like they could afford to move forward with a project at that time. They still are trying to work with us to come up with a project, and their project is one that stalled out with the site selection process. In East Burke, they decided to pursue a very small project where the need is greatest. In Westford, they finished their original report about 10 or 15 years ago, purchased the land, secured design funding, and then they abandoned the project. For Montgomery, they pursued planning to build out for and design to build out for both of their villages, and one of the landowners fell through, and the other project is still moving ahead. So there's an
Quick question.
Yep.
I have a quick question, Matt, sorry. The first box, what is a wastewater ordinance in like one sentence?
So in the sense of Grafton, their wastewater ordinance pertains to pumping out the septic tanks. So in their specific ordinance, they require that each landowner within their village area, and they have a couple villages, that each landowner produce proof of septic pump out every 5 years as part of their requirements, to make sure that the water quality stays safe in their village.
Okay, thank you.
More Seward communities will have a wastewater ordinance about what you can put into the wastewater, which is really only the 3 Ps. And you know, they don't want people to put down hazardous chemicals and other things. So often it controls who can connect if you have a system, and you know, what you can not put down. So
Thank you.
So what funding is available? Because you're still technically in planning, and engineering planning advance is an option. USDA runs a search grant program that is limited in size to $30,000 that's available annually. There's the Clean Water State Revolving Fund 100% subsidized loan, which is available based on the annual IUP, disadvantaged community status, and some other criteria. The regular Clean Water State Revolving Fund planning loan, which is available for step 1 and 2. There's also the Northern Borders Regional Planning Commission grant, which requires match, and there's more. So I had sent to Linda some websites, including the Village Wastewater website, which has a whole table of different funding parameters, including these. And then would Jericho benefit from wastewater committee? Yes. Villages really need wastewater committees to have successful projects. The committees, they work on the local communications and engagements, and some villages still need extra help, and those villages end up hiring a project coordinator as part of their grant and loan combination as well.
Yeah, we're intending to, we're in the process of going to hire a public works person
Oh, great.
to help with all these with the whole process and project coordination coordinator.
So that is where we're at for the initial questions. So if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. If there's specific villages or potential outcomes that you're interested, I do have the case studies slides all queued up if you want to go through any of those. So.
That's what I was just gonna ask for, something like,
Yeah.
I don't even care which town or whatever, but just take me through an example to just help me understand like what they asked for, what they got, what kind of help there was. I think that's really gonna help me figure this thing out.
Visualize how it goes.
Yeah, and just understand.
Yeah. You're not alone. We are not talking about wastewater treatment plants here. We're talking about clustered community on-site wastewater systems. Affordability is a concept that I like to introduce going into the slide. It is a metric set by EPA that is a percentage, which is equal to the annual user rate of the utility divided by the median household income for the area. And we really like to see this between 1% and 2%. So
Wait,
Can you go back? I'm
Say
gonna
that
tweak
again,
that.
say that again. Annual user rate, what is that number?
So that is like the amount that you would pay for your wastewater bill in
Okay.
a year, because what a village wastewater project is creating a wastewater utility within the town or within the village.
You want families spending between 1% and 2% of their annual income on wastewater.
For the project to be considered affordable, it would need to be within that range. So like,
Okay.
yeah.
So that would be for people connecting. So are you saying, I live in an area, I connect. The cost of my connection should be 1 to 2% of the median household income for the state, for the town.
For
Or
the
even not-
town or the service area.
Okay,
It depends on how you set it up.
thank you.
So the classic example that we use is Warren, Vermont. It's the oldest of the newer community decentralized wastewater systems, and there's not a lot of new ones. But in 2003, Warren, Vermont was able to create a community wastewater system. In that they had an EPA demonstration grant, and this slide includes the breakout for all the different funding that they had for their project. And how they approached their project was that they had 10 individual system refurbishments, one cluster system that served only 3 properties, and then 78 properties to a large shared system, large cluster system. So in 2020, the annual user fee, so that annual rate that we were just talking about in the affordability, was $1,180 per year. And a lot of this was grant funded, but there was Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan that was, looks like at the time, under $1 million.
So that's per user,
Right.
$1,180 for all the people that are listed above.
Right. And this also includes all the operation and maintenance costs for the town to be able to do the billing and provide those services, and an operator to check on things and to come and fix things when they go bad.
So besides the school, there were 89 people or units that were paying $11.80 a year.
Yes, they may not all be in they may not all be individual single family residences,
I think
but
it's 89 there, Mr. Math teacher, but yeah.
Right?
Is that what I said?
No, you said 79.
Yeah, I said 80, I said 80. So that's cool. So that 1,180. So maybe I'm cutting you off, but
No?
who's running that? Like, so who do they pay that to? So the town of Warren is
Yeah,
the
the
owner
town-
operator?
yes, Warren owns and operates the system, and they have a administrative person, and about half of that person's time was going to deal with the administration of the system, the billing, the questions, the scheduling
So
stuff.
half of the town FTE.
Right. But also they pay a contract operator to come in and to be available to be on call if there's an emergency or something goes haywire.
Yeah.
So this is what they're.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I wish I had that a year and a half ago. We get these
Could understand it.
that were well done. You gotta remember, you're throwing at an idiot like me. Nice little table.
Right, like you can see this.
See it per person.
Right.
Very
Yep.
Great.
So this is what their wastewater disposal system looks like. It is underneath an athletic field at their Warren school. So there's we often get questions about, what does it look like? It's not a wastewater treatment plant. It is mostly subterranean. In this case, they have a little bit that's above ground, and those are the 2 vents for some tanks that are below ground. So we also worked with Brownsville, Vermont, which is in West Windsor. Their story is quite different. They're a small village at the base of a Scuttney mountain ski area. The ski area was going bankrupt. They were able to purchase the mountain sewer system with a loan from our program. And while they were sort of in the planning phase for that study, Irene came through and damaged the fire department and one of the houses in town. They were able to get additional grant funding because of the Irene damages. And what they were able to do was then construct a small village collection system and to connect the mountain system that they'd purchased. And then all of that wastewater goes down to Windsor, Vermont, which is a different municipality in this case. And their user fees were $865 a year. They also had pretty big win for their community because they were able to convert some of that housing to permanent residential housing, and their school was one of the few schools in Vermont that's seen an increase in the student population. And they were able to do a cafeteria in the school because of the wastewater system. So in 2018, we had a project in Rochester, Vermont to refurbish one of their 3 community wastewater systems. So they have legacy community wastewater systems from the 1970s with a total capacity of over 66,000 gallons per day. And prior to coming into our program for that loan, their user fee was $340 a year. That being said, they have a very low tech system that is grandfathered and doesn't have a number of the permitting and testing requirements that go with the newer systems. So here's our slide with Grafton. Based on this is my cost for pump out is $285 every time we do it. So I hear there's a lot of variability in that pricing around the state. But for Grafton, it's probably under $300 once every 5 years. We also,
Where's the last bullet in that slide say, town? Okay, thank you.
yeah, the town's still concerned. And they have done a second study now on wastewater, and they have not been able to find a site that is both suitable and available. They did find one that was suitable, and unfortunately that didn't work out. So if you were to compare some of these user rates that we've been talking about with individual on-site systems, we took some of the data from our on-site loan program from the same time that the rest of the slides were prepared, which is 2020 era, so not too fresh at this point. But the conventional systems, if you were to annualize them at the cost and do all the O&M for your conventional on-site system for single family residents, you're still looking at these types of figures.
Can you explain? I don't understand that slide. This isn't my field. Can you explain what that is showing?
Okay, so we have an on-site loan program that gives loans to individual homeowners to replace a failed system. So we categorize the systems into 3 different types. So there's conventional, which is usually set in at grade. It doesn't need to have any pumping. And so to get the wastewater from the home to the system, but it does, have a septic tank. That septic tank needs to be pumped out regularly. And so this includes, the cost of the septic pump out and the cost to construct and permit that. And then it's amortized over 16 years, which is the average life of a septic system.
Okay, that helps, thank you.
Yeah, and then it's similar, but with a mound system, you have a pump station and electrical costs. And then with the innovative alternative system, it has often a pre-treatment unit and requires an annual inspection by the vendor of the treatment unit. So this can be quite costly, and the only person I personally know who has one says that it costs her $5,000 a year to run her wastewater.
So you're only planning on 16 years is what you said?
Yeah, one of the studies that was done in Upper New York State found that they're basically the failure rate of on-site systems in Upper New York State was on a 16-year basis. In Vermont, we don't really have good data on that. Some will go for 30 years, no problem, but others, it depends on how, if you do your maintenance or not, and if you put grease down the drain or other things that don't belong there. So.
That does seem a little short to me.
That seems extremely short.
But you can divide by 2 and then you get a 30-year system. Yeah.
Yeah. 30, 40, 50 years.
That's a financing.
Okay, but she said the life of a septic system.
I understand, but for a banker, the banker says your house is gonna last 27 years.
Right.
So
It's like a depreciation thing almost, right?
Okay. Sure.
and that's what that is. It's not.
But that's what they're saying, they spend, if you only planning on 16 years, you're spending that much per year, you're gonna, even a wastewater system, they do a 20-year checkup, so, I mean, even that, like Richmond is, 20 years it gets checked and they have to redo things, so.
Okay, thank you.
So in the case of wastewater, they initially approached a drinking water system. The drinking water system allowed them to be able to have changes within their village area for wastewater that were precluded when every lot had their own well. They still had wastewater issues. They came in and they worked with us to create a community wastewater loan program, which was able to then help them fund developments such as Lawson's Finest and these other businesses. Can be a lot of benefits, including management systems, improvements in water quality, lessen public health risks, and fill and redevelopment. They can be sustainable economically and environmentally. When we're working with communities, we try and build trust by having the consulting engineer collect survey information so that it doesn't directly get entered into our public record. We have a policy for working with community and with failed septics. But there are certain public health measures required if there are failed septics. It's a number of keys to successful projects, including having a strong wastewater committee. So again, we do have a workbook on creating a wastewater committee, and I provided the link to Linda already. But additionally, making sure that you're regularly doing visioning, checking in with your planning commission and your community about what they want to see. Making sure that your town has the capacity to both foster the project, but also to see it through and to make sure that you can run it as a utility. And then making sure that you apply for funding and that whatever you end up with, it has an affordable rate for any potential users. So we're currently, this was the project in Westford. it was very, very expensive. If they were to do it at 100% loan, it would have been $1,600 a year. We were able to give them substantial grants, which they ended up turning down, unfortunately. And we're currently working with Montgomery, and again, this is old, so initially they were looking at 192 connections in 2 villages, and now they're down to 117 connections in 1 village and an $18 million project cost. But we've been able to find them enough grant money to keep their affordability in that affordability range. Other funding.
You said we were able to help, we were able to find them grant funding. Is
Yeah.
that Clean Water Reserve?
So the Department of Environmental Conservation also has been administering some of the ARPA funding appropriated by the Vermont legislature. So a lot of their funding is coming from DC to that source, but also we have other funding partners that we work with at the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. We work with the Northern Borders Regional Commission, and basically coordinate to make sure that, you know, the best possible funding package gets to the communities that need it. Here's details on the engineering planning advance and the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. This is a little old. And then, you know, as I'm working with new communities that haven't started any of this, I often will take some snips and make slides of, you know, what their community looks like. Our funding right now is limited to the designated centers and the designated center buffers. But then I also encourage the communities to look at the constraining features, like floodplains and floodways, river corridors, wetlands, hazardous waste sites, and all of that stuff, which you guys are already on the way to looking at. So if I had recommendations, like specific recommendations, if you're asking, I would encourage you to continue your study and see it at least through the end of the PER, and to do those test pits. That the current funding is highly subsidized, and you know, I don't know that it will be that way forever. So at least if you finish your study out and create a village wastewater committee, you'll be in a strong place to move forward if you decide that that's what you want to do. Do you have more questions?
Can you send those slides to Paula so she can forward them to us?
Absolutely.
Yes, Chuck?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm interested in governance. Could you talk about the difference between a municipal system, a district system, and a commission-led system, and the advantages of each, and maybe a community, a representative community of each that we could go meet with? I know Montgomery had a commission system. It was a commission that presented it to the public. They moved through the steps, in my view, quite admirably and quite quickly. They had 2 village centers. But can you talk about the 3 governance systems? And then when do you think the governance system should be established? For example, if we were going to go to a commission system, maybe that would, you know, something that could be established earlier. And I just make just a comment that a committee is not governance.
Right, a committee is not governance, but they provide the labor to sort of keep the project going when it's very slow and hard to get going. So in a municipal model, there is a municipal employee that basically does the billing and administration of the system. They often still have have a committee or commission for being able to make larger decisions, but and then if you go to the district model, it's, at least in the state of Vermont, technically still a municipality. It's just a municipality within a municipality. So there, it sort of shrinks down the geography and the number of people involved. So it might make it easier for voting, but it won't necessarily allow the flexibility. So I'm not the best person to answer that question because I don't get involved with that. But if you need resources on that, I can put you in touch with our.
Where would we go to get good advice on governance? Because it does seem like, I mean, if we don't get this done, our whole town plan fails. And it seems like good governance is something we need to get established early. Where would we go to get good advice on governance?
So there's a number of resources available. The department has a capacity development program for drinking water that can certainly answer all of those questions for you. There's also the RCAP Solutions, which is a nonprofit group that also helps to answer these types of questions and will help communities to get through those efforts. And then there's the Vermont League of Cities and Towns as well. And we're currently working with Katie Buckley and Bonnie Wine.
Could you also send that list of organizations
Yes.
to follow as well?
Yes.
We're well set up for forming committees and
Yes.
doing studies, but we need governance to get it done.
You also have a tremendous resource in the audience because my former colleague is Tom Joslin is there and he's done all of this work.
It's a nice thing for you to.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Lynette.
you. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Next is discussion of restoring the riverbank on Nashville Road, Leary Road, help for Jericho. Catering, Reed?
So that's my first time on these meetings. How should I begin, I guess?
Usually you bow. Same again.
Okay. So,
You just introduce yourself. Who you are, but
Yeah.
that's what you did.
so I'm Patrick Reed. I'm happen to be the property owner of the property where this particular stream drain issue is happening. So I've been involved in trying to help figure out a solution for legal solutions with my neighbors. So for folks who don't know what's happened, back in July in the flooding that hit Jericho, the stream bank there in a place where it had normally flooded over, normal occurrence, no big deal, but like manageable situation, simply just blew out the stream bank and turned into a river that flew down through the field, impacting many neighbors, flowing over Leary Road, blocking it off.
Did the same thing the whole entire way down.
The whole way
to
down.
Winooski, I can confirm.
Yeah, so it was a very different situation than we've ever experienced in the past, kind of bad situation.
I live on Bentley Lane.
Yes, so since what has happened is that when there's sort of normal rain, the river comes up and starts to flow back through there again. And so it has been fairly dry since July. But in the one instance that we had, a couple of days where it rained a couple inches over those days, it was once again overflowing Leary Road. So starting to wash it out. There's significant concern amongst myself, our neighbors, that sort of left unchecked, this is going to be a serious problem down the road with either washing out Leary and Nashville, creating potential inability for emergency services to get into that area. If say Notch and State Road also get washed out like they did during that flooding, Nashville was the only way in and out for a while. So that was would be a significant issue for everyone in that area. Since July, we've been going out and talking to like every agency we can. FEMA, we've talked with NRCD. They did offer to sponsor us through a hazard mitigation grant, which we recently found out we are not being selected for. bunch of agricultural programs, because there's farming that happens in the area. Those are really all intended to support erosion mitigation in the case of flooding, but not to restore riverbanks. And basically what everyone told us is that as individual community members, like a property owner, like we aren't eligible to apply for any kind of funding support. There is an additional waterway protection grant that would support this kind of work, and the town could sponsor an application for that would pay for a substantial amount of the work and the technical support.
Is there a match?
Oh, yeah,
I think
it's
it's-
match.
Yeah, I think it's 70% of the labor, or I'm sorry, 70% of the work and materials, maybe, and 100% of the techno, but
So I mean, your match is like only about 30% or something like that. I think you're about half, not less, because we've done bittersweet and it wasn't 70% there. No.
I think he means the other way.
yeah, other way,
Yeah.
that's correct. So that's match, it would be the 30% match from our end.
Yeah.
So who would, so you're looking for the town to sign on to that, or who would pay the?
I think that's one of the things we need help figuring out. It's a big project. It's gonna be a substantial amount of money. I'll be honest with you, I can't afford to
No.
pay 30%. It does seem to be,
I'm sorry, who pays 70%?
The
The grant that we're
EWP
applying
would.
for.
yes, the
The
grant,
emergency water-
assuming we
Yep,
get
yeah,
selected,
We get that, we still have to cover 30%,
right,
and you can't afford that.
right. I can't afford that.
Yeah, you don't have a homeowners association either. It's
Right.
all the individual homeowners that you have.
And what would they do? They would just do like moving, like dirt moving and digging and.
Oh, there's engineering.
reinforcing.
Yeah, there's engineering, so that's part of it. We did get also just recently as well, finally got the state to come out and provide emergency approval to do permitting and get the work, so a plan would need to be made. It's from talking to the state rep, the plan is not as like comprehensive as maybe I would have expected. A river engineer would need to provide a like a basic drawing, not even a detailed technical drawing of the work, and then a description of the techniques used to mitigate it. But basically what they're talking about is armoring the riverbank. So like riprap and putting in some more fill material and some, erosion, plants to prevent erosion, stuff like that. So fairly standard. It did not seem like a complicated or sort of unusual project from their point of view. But yes, so basically building back that bank to where it was.
The problem now is that when it blew out, it now not anything, but a very minimal amount of rain still now goes through there because what the bank that's there is now gone.
Yeah, there's the new
And
channel
of course,
that's
that's
forming.
cost the town money on the roads too.
Right.
Exactly. So Michael LaPointe then said that he missed the 60-day window, but he thought it was still possible to apply.
Yes, so one of the things we were prepared to do, assuming we could at least get a letter of support, which I think is all we're required from the town to pursue this, is we'd go meet with Michael and try to start getting that drummed up the line to try to pursue this, yes.
Yeah, we've done this with Bittersweet. That was just not like maybe 2 years ago. And then that's the grant we had for the overhead mill as well, it's the EWP grants with Michael LaPointe going in. What we typically have done is that, yes, in Bittersweet's case, it was the homeowners association that's responsible for the match because it was all private property. But the town is the sponsor because you need a fiduciary. But we also required an MOU to work both, in whether you have a lawyer or what, but we used our lawyer for our town part, and then they had their MOU lawyer do it to confirm that that you would be paying the although in your case, we do have the road involvement too, so we have to talk about what actually the split would be. But I mean, if Mike.
We have to have an agreement about how that 30% gets paid before we write a letter
Oh,
saying we're supporting
No,
this.
well, what we do is it might not get approved because of the timeline.
So a letter is not a big deal for us to provide saying we're supportive of moving
We're
forward.
supportive of them moving forward because we need to find out if they get the grant. If they get the grant, then we get.
Then we hash out how much is helping us, how much is helping you.
Exactly, Yeah,
And do we have an idea of the financial amount that we're asking for? Or are we asking for, will you support it? And then we get a quote sometime later?
So we got a back of the envelope quote from a river engineer of $50,000 to $100,000.
oh my God.
Yeah.
What was bittersweet though was pretty,
So, and that's,
So
that's
let's
not
say it's so let's say
including.
it's 100, so you'd be looking, somehow, somebody would be on the hook for 30.
Yeah, and so the other part of my statement was too, like, that's talking to a private river engineering company, right? Like, depending on how we get the plan done, I don't know what other options there are for doing that work. Like, if town staff, and resources,
Road crew can do something and do quite a bit.
yeah, like, then it's significantly more cost effective, I would think, and
and then maybe
And I
a
have-
portion of the collector.
yeah.
So it's a huge question, like you say, what's the plan gonna be? What are they gonna require us to do? Like, what's the work? Like, what's the
Right.
work?
Yeah.
Right, who knows, right? It
Yeah,
could-
well,
They could be like,
Cause in the
I'm one of
other,
the neighbors well aware of
yeah, yes,
realistically,
you are.
what I could do to fix the problem. Be pretty cheap and easy. What the state's engineer will put on paper and require to be done would be elaborate and expensive.
Yeah, I know bittersweet actually.
What is your name?
Josh.
Josh Hamill.
Sorry, I don't know if this is also my first meeting. I'm supposed to speak from back.
You can.
That's right. The bittersweet, they had already engaged an engineer who had given them a bid. But, you know, this one is, is slightly different, but again, they have, they were picturing that just in starting to eat into the area where their operations, their septic system for. And it had taken out part of our trail system as well, but they were able to get the WP grant, so I guess what you have to do is see if it's feasible, or, you know, as you said, you have back of those vulnerable things and.
I mean, I guess what he's looking for is a letter. So, I mean, I don't know how who would you feel? I'm extremely sympathetic and totally fine with signing a letter to say you can apply to see what we get, see what kind of. But I don't want to give the impression that we're gonna sign off on the 30%.
Mhm.
Because it's not a road, it's not a town thing. I don't even know what it would
Part
be
of-
like
part
to
of it-
send a road crew down into a private property, right? Like, it's a,
I mean, I think it is important, it does threaten a road, a town.
It threatens every time it floods.
And honestly, my house is not threatened by this. My septic system is not threatened by this. My lawn is a riverbed, like, it ruined my lawn. That kind of sucks, but I can just ignore it.
But it's not 30 grand.
Yeah, it's something, I can do nothing and I'll be fine.
yeah.
My neighbors won't necessarily be. And I have a kind of have a problem with that, which is why I'm here, and I've done all this work. But I just, yeah, I mean, and I understand why you can't commit to that now, but I would like to at least move forward with the understanding, like,
Yeah, I just don't wanna
yeah.
Yeah, and
give,
sometimes the
give you
EWP
permission to
actually-
do the letter, right? And then it comes in and we find out that they wanna do an $800,000 plan and you're like, where's our 250, you know, like.
No,
Like,
yeah.
And yeah, and the, yeah, no, and the grant does not oblige us to any work. It just lets us know if there's any funds available.
Cause it's only when you put the shovel to the ground that you're permitted,
Yeah.
is how.
But they're just making sure that there's nothing implied about our letters.
I've had people leave
anything
here
other than.
with very different impressions of what I thought I said. I just want to make sure.
No, yeah,
everything's
I just-
very clear.
The letter is exploratory and not a commitment to spending money.
Right,
And there's just probably additional conversation happening.
well, and sometimes the EWP has
Depending
its
what
own
happens, right.
engineer.
So we
That
can
they
look at
provide.
this, or-
Question.
Oh.
Thanks.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, sure, it's May McBride. That's on the road.
Yes.
I am engineer and I do river work, so that's why I'm doing this project. I'm just curious if anyone has considered, if it's threatening the road, if one of the possible solutions should be putting in an extra culvert.
Oh, there's gonna be more culverts put down there too. We're having to do that anyway.
Right, my point is just that as climate is changing, rivers are gonna be changing their courses, and they're going to be needing more area to get through in floods. So instead of constraining it back, I mean, I haven't looked at the site, so I don't know, but I just am I just want to make sure that the town is considering that there could be very different options than just a river restoration project to protect the road potentially, right?
Right.
Does that
Yeah, I
make
don't know
sense?
exactly what it is, but I do remember, we had the foreman come in and talk about the Leary Road situation and
Two cross culverts.
yeah, there's a couple culverts he talked about. I don't remember the specifics, but there, it
Yeah,
was
there's
at
a
least
new culvert in
considered.
there.
Yeah, so,
And then there's another.
but I hear your
sort of-
point. You're like, don't
What is-
rebuild something that we're gonna have to be back here in 2 years.
This is happening everywhere, right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So-
Well, I
mean, it's
mentioned to
just
somebody
a
about
lot.
it today, like, we already had 2 100-year floods, so we should be
Right.
good for 200 years. That's the way I- that's the way my-
He keeps saying that.
This one.
Hello, could I speak for just a moment?
Yeah, it goes through.
Hold on. Can you please state your name?
Yes, my name's James Laversa, and Wendy Fleury and I live between Patrick's property and the Leary Road, and our frontage is Nashville Road.
Okay.
And in our situation, what we see from the flooding is that it not only comes through our property, but we're talking about a raging river here heading toward Leary Road. So I think that doing something about the river itself to help it in some way to maintain its course and dealing with it somewhat agriculturally and planting wise and in the area between is pretty much the way to go, because otherwise you're just basically putting Nashville Road, Leary Road, and our property into a compromised position. The river itself, from what the engineer that came out and the people that came out who spoke to us, was basically that was a very doable thing. So, it's not a question of, it's not really a question of just like allowing it to be a floodplain, because I saw that water going through the property and heading directly toward Leary Road in the shape of a river. So, I think that's a necessary way to go.
I would think that we, go back to the record with Bittersweet to see what they came in with first. But it seems to me that, the town got engaged fairly quickly after Bittersweet came in. But they had already talked to an engineer, and which you have to as well, and then engaged Michael Appoint because it fit the emergency water protection program. Yes, please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Lenny Dubuque. I'm Patrick's neighbor and Josh's neighbor, and I border the brook on Leary Road side. And I'd just like to say that as Jimmy was stating, this just heads right down towards their house. It's a couple of times now we've had to repair Leary Road, which kind of strands us. We have to go way around and come back down Nashville, and during the original washout, we weren't sure we were gonna get through there because of the West Bolton area. I like what you're saying about helping, and potentially the town could help with manpower, which you may not have to even fund any money, any dollars, just resources to do it. Like Josh was saying, more than $100,000 sounds pretty unrealistic for what this is.
Yeah.
Even $100,000 seems unrealistic. It's literally just took a bank that's probably 15, 20 feet and just blew it out. So now it's like a ramp, almost, this high above the water level, a few inches above the water level when it's currently at. And now whenever we get a rain, it just washes straight down through the field. And it takes fish with it, and it takes,
Oh, wow.
they were picking brook trout out down by the.
Oh, how sad, because that's one of the wild
Absolutely.
brook trout streams that's left in this area.
I hear you, Catherine, and it's so sad because, yeah, my grandkids love watching the fish and, you know, and fishermen come and everything, but anyways, I think that if you were willing to provide resources, you may not even have to lay out any money at all as part of that. So I think going forward would be the right approach. Will it last forever? Probably not, right? I think we all know that, but if it's a minimal investment of, grant money plus resources from the town, then I think that would be a great,
Yeah, I want to be clear. I wasn't saying no, but I also wasn't committing ourselves to money going out.
perfectly understand.
Yeah, I think we need to engage Michael and see, you know,
You don't want to commit yourself to 30% of question mark.
Of a number we don't know.
Yeah.
Or 30% of $100,000. I probably wouldn't either, so.
Yeah.
that way, you know, I mean.
But I want to
know-
see what it involves.
What they're
and,
looking
like, yeah,
at.
I love labor for, if the
Yeah.
labor can be the match, then, and a
Yeah,
road crew isn't repairing another 18 places where Millbrook took out, you know?
Yeah. So we had a river engineer, Stacy, I don't remember her last name, Patrick.
Pomeroy.
Pomeroy. She came, she looked at it, and her recommendation was to shore up the bank. She even said that as part of the permit, they could allow taking rock out of the brook
that's pretty unusual.
and bringing it up, because there's, as you know, Catherine, you've seen the brook, it changes all the
Oh,
time.
it does, absolutely, I can see, if you change, what floods in our, down at the end of Bentley, it's always different.
Exactly, that's right. But there's these huge stone bars, and there's one just a little ways downstream. And she said that it would be possible as part of the permitting. You don't want to take it all out, but you could take some of the rock out of that place and to put behind the armoring that Patrick was talking about, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest signing off on the letter and engaging Michael to see whether, you know, they would qualify because, you know, given the time of year and, where they are in federally with the EWP.
My parents' land backs up to the Millbrook, and
Yeah.
I mean, they had like a literal forest just deposited on their lawn.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I've lived there my whole life and never seen anything like it.
So that's exactly what happened. I have 10 acres behind Patrick's house. When it washed down, I was pulling logs and brush and tires and just all kinds of stuff. I've got stones and everything. It's farmland, and we have Dan Westover hayes our field.
Oh, okay,
Tucker Andrews,
he farms there,
yeah, he farms on Patrick's land.
yeah,
So-
because he helps the food shelf with the squash.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, so thank you. We do appreciate you listening
I
and.
do just want to say that, and I'm not an engineer or whatever, you know, I have heard after the last July floods, a lot of talk about we need to give water places to go rather than insisting it stays where it's always been. And that when we do these things like shoring things up and forcing it, we're just forcing it down the same chute and it's going faster and faster. Where I'm not at all implying like, oh, don't do this, let it run all over your lawn. But then if we give it a place to go, then it doesn't pick up speed and do more damage. So I am just, I'm just conscious of that, especially when Nate McBride just said, like, keep in mind that.
Well, and I think it's important to clarify too, I mean, we don't have to spend much.
Yeah, they're not
But the
changing it.
plan of this is like not to prevent flooding in the future. Of like what happened in July would happen, and it will still flood there.
Yeah.
It won't keep flooding every time it rains, ideally afterwards, so. Yeah, we're not building up a huge bank or trying to prevent anything different, we'll have, anticipate going back, would love to go back to the normal flooding we had before. You know, once or twice a year, and then we all move on with our lives rather than kind of there's just that I've heard from.
Assuming that whatever grant that we're applying for would have language
Like
or
consideration
restrictions
around
in
that
it to
idea.
like deal with that, right? Because,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, river people know that they wanna,
Yeah.
they want room for it to go do what it's gonna do. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
So do we need a motion for the letter or just tell Paul?
I think it should be.
Like, I'd make a motion to direct Paula to write a letter of support of the grant application for the folks on Leary Road.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, I mean, you know, because it's a tough time of year, you know,
Hope for a dry summer.
yeah.
I want heavy
Well, yeah,
snow,
you know,
but I want a dry
most-
summer.
Most of the state right now is in either a mild to moderate drought.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
That's our biggest concern is we don't know what this is gonna do when we get any amount of rain. There's real concern amongst the community. I've got emails of support from some neighbors whenever they get, I had people stop by my house and run me during dinner and be like, what's going on with this? Like,
Yeah.
we're all just very nervous that like the roads are gonna get washed out and it's gonna become an emergency situation. That
And the biggest,
it's even more costly in the future.
average heavy rainfall, floods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your average,
Yeah, I get it.
average heavy summer rain, it's flooded,
Yeah.
That's a real problem, yeah.
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 You know, we have it July 11th again, it's flood again, but
That'll be a serious flood.
yeah, we can't have it every time there's a big rainstorm.
And the fish. And literally every
If-
time you get any.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. I wish you well on that grant. Cindy's trying to
If
say
I could,
something.
interject. Yes, this is Jimmy again. Yeah, I just wanted to be supportive of what Patrick and Len are talking about because, you know, you can't have a couple of hours of rain and then be wondering if it's going to come down through and then if it's going to wash out the road again or what it's going to do. And, you know, spring flooding, obviously, you know, the melt and all of that. But I travel around all over Vermont every day as a part of my job. And I see all kinds of things going on in terms of reparations. And a lot of them really don't seem that complicated. And they're in similar, some of them are larger projects. Some of them are projects like ours. And I see them just basically reshoring up the walls and removing some material to do it. And as Stacy, the engineer, was stating, that it's really doable. And I think that Len's assertion that, you know, this doesn't have to be a major deal. And with what you've talked about in terms of, you know, maybe using some manpower resources and equipment and things along those lines, I don't think that's an unreasonable way to go about it. And I just wanted to let you know that and let you know that I appreciate you bringing it up and appreciate writing the letter. And just to support Len and Patrick in this, we've spent a lot of time, you know, discussing and walking and trying to figure this out with a whole host of people. And I believe that what they're talking about is really doable in a real sense. So that's all I wanted to say. And I just thank everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the positive thing is they've already talked to the state. The state says, you know, the state engineer said this.
Yeah, that's good.
She actually gave us a permit through the end of this year
That's true.
to do the work. So that's been granted already
That is good.
To the end of 24.
to the end of 24. So it's
Still
outside
seems
of
tight.
the, it's out,
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
but it was an emergency permit.
Yeah,
It went beyond, because I think November
October
1st.
1st is
Yeah. Right.
October 1st
gotcha.
is normal. So the state is behind it, but obviously more than that.
Well, thank you. Moving on, I think it's interesting they call it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. May I just ask, so next steps are will you write the letter?
We'll write the letter, we'll get it to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lenny, I used to work with you at IBM. It's good to see you
So
again.
Eric.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a few years, but.
It's such a small world. Yeah, I think this is fascinating that they call it managed care for computers.
Yeah,
But anyway, approve the managed care renewal with tech group.
yeah. So our managed care for the computer systems, for all of our computers, that includes the Microsoft 365, any patches, all of that, anything that they normally tend to. It was due at the end of October, but he didn't get it to me in time, so he pushed it back to November. This year's managed care was 25,914.
Is that just for
the
the regular monthly? as opposed to
Yes.
The optional?
Yeah, the optional was not included last year. He included it this year, thought that some of these things that are in the optional could be beneficial, but it's not that we have to do that.
So it jumps like about 2,000.
Yeah, it's like 27,426.
So what is your feeling about the optional now?
You know,
Because that's another.
this-
Almost $10,000.
right. I don't know about I guess my first suggestion is I wouldn't worry about that right now.
Maybe track it for this year.
Yeah, yeah.
See if we end up spending more than 10 on extra stuff.
Yeah, yeah, there is one added thing that they could put in, which I think would be really beneficial for like Amy or myself, is a security system. It's a little security. You don't have to do a password every time. It kind of you click on this little thing, it incorporates some messed up password that it takes years to ever figure out. So like for our finances, it'd be great for endemic programs, so nobody could kind of access that. I mean,
So how much is that out of that?
so that it was a very small amount.
That's what $44 a month.
Okay. So the
Did you-
password management, is that different?
Password management, yep,
That's only $24 a month.
yes. It was a really small amount for like, right here, so it was, so if you did, it looks like one is $144,
Okay.
so, yes, per month.
Ridiculous number.
Right, one password is
I mean,
probably $30 a year.
Right,
A
that's
password.
totally,
But it's
yeah,
called one password.
right.
Yeah, yes,
It's
yeah.
called one password and it.
Right.
Oh,
all
yes,
your stuff, you get your
yes,
vaults and
yes, yeah,
you
so
can-
that was the only thing, but I don't really,
I mean, I guess like remote care managed services, is that like them remote support for stuff? Like, not
where,
from here, but
where,
on the very top of. the
Remote?
Itemized stuff, remote care.
it's
managed
them, yep,
services.
it's them kind of watching the computers and, mhm.
That's a lot of money. $1,400 a month, like how often are you?
we were,
That's all the computers.
it's all the
No, but-
computers, so they watch it 24/7, like they're watching it. If anything comes up, they will fix it right away. Anything, No.
Because a lot of this is now recommended even by,
Yeah.
nationals, because.
No, I understand that. Someone.
Somebody,
Takes his ransom. and-
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Us, IT professionals deserve some QAnon.
Well, yeah, they're doing okay, 35 grand in one town.
They have many towns, yeah.
A lot of money for protection. And I don't know that it's critically important, but.
What, have you talked to them about a new website though?
Oh, that's.
I know you
different.
brought it up a little bit, but like, do they own our website?
No, that's a different company, but they are looking at a different one that, people are.
I would really like to switch.
Okay, so they have nothing to do with our website.
No.
They're only the hardware and
Correct.
your
Yes,
machines.
I
Yeah.
thought you and maybe even Sabina were talking about a new one.
I've mentioned it to Sabina. I've talked to Sabina a little bit about it and she's actually on board as well.
There's another company that people thought was better, than the one we got.
Mhm.
So I
Yep,
think a lot of people are complaining about it, maybe.
yeah,
I mean, we're, gonna put the Christmas tree on the budget to start with, we might as well just see that all those things are.
right.
You're looking for approval? to
Yes,
approve
please.
What? When am I having such a hard time finding that actual?
The
total?
228550 monthly number.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And we have to sign this for a year?
Yes, it's a year.
You want a total, times 12 is 27,000.
Yeah.
26, that's gonna be
Oh,
one motion.
No, I was just thinking about what options we have. Like, it's basically we sign up or we go looking for another one, right?
And we had a different one and it was
Yeah.
it's really
terrible.
bad.
It was
It does
terrible.
feel like we're getting stuff, to be perfectly honest, but
But they have checked, there's only a couple that.
I like this company. I really do. I think, I went back to them when I became town administrator. Or interim. I think
we
it's
returned to them, we went back to
Mhm.
them from.
a previous, Yeah, they're really good.
We've been with them for a couple of years, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it. Let's just keep an eye on it
Mhm.
and like over the year, maybe
Mhm.
like just include me a little bit. I should have been probably paying a little more attention to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be good to just know what
What different,
How many- how-
like,
What kind of stuff?
different
how
people.
many events are there and how often are, like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
They can certainly pull that out. That they actually gave me a report of like this report, which you guys can't see, but all in green is people that have Microsoft 365. And there's actually some in green and all in white are older, people that have.
Those subscriptions are all included in this 22.
We just canceled a bunch of these.
Oh.
So I just worked with Dave on going through that, Dave Bawera. Yep, to purge them. Yep. And we actually just went through our computers as well and removed 3 of them. So,
That's good.
mhm,
Any of
Yeah.
them we got.
I would
Yeah.
second Eric's motion to approve to accept the bid.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Okay, here's another painful one. Approve an additional 31.5 from ECI to remove the last of the rock for the old red mill project.
Oh, I saw that one on there.
mhm.
Where would that come from?
It's gonna come from the money that was initially put in there by the Historical Society for, the work on the wall. Because both, I was gonna explain more in the updates because we just had a meeting of a whole bunch of interested people. And everybody agrees that the last of these rocks need to come out in order to, let debris fall, because every time they've cleaned out stuff, less and less water curls around that corner between the wall and the foundation of the building.
Mhm.
And so they figured this is the very last. It was not anticipated to do this, but it ended up catching some of the debris from some of the big storms this summer. So they figured this has to come out. And the bid is 31.5, and that'll come from that reserve fund. And then we'll have other stories.
what's the reserve fund?
It's the old red mill.
So
Where's that money coming from?
The money came from,
We put it in there already?
we put some money in there. We put approximately $18,560 a year for 10 years.
they voted that in like the same year that I became on the select board.
Okay.
And then within weeks, we spent 10
Oh,
years worth of it. Yeah, but on this
Yeah, yeah,
project,
yeah.
it's the right thing to spend it on.
And
But
that's,
then,
and that's all being,
we went out and fundraising, raised, that's what the old red mill, put in, it was $97,000.
and the select board is paying for all that stuff because
We got the
because
grant.
we like but it's our problem, not the historical.
Correct.
problem.
This initial,
That part gets a little
this,
confusing.
it gets,
Right,
very- but
Yeah.
this part is the town's because the town initially started the project
Yeah.
with the EWP.
And we started it because I'm not kidding, but like, because we value the mill and we wanted to keep existing.
And it's the icon for the town and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Lenny Duke, my question is, those sound like big rocks.
They are very big ones.
Would they work for a stream bank?
This one will, but there's no way of getting that out in one piece.
I can't get it out. They're just gonna.
That is a good, that's a good idea.
Even if you break it up, blow up, might still be playing big.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah,
It's not wrong.
If
It has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter, that's exactly.
If you go and stand on the bridge and look down in, there are several rocks with all kinds of markings on them.
Oh,
One is humongo,
yeah.
it's right in the middle.
and it's got, they have to break it into multiple parts to even begin to separate it out. And then off to the other side, was it the right side? They said, I don't forget which side. But there's a bunch of debris that needs to be cleaned out that they need to move in order to, because it's starting to, infringe on the free flow on that side.
Well, are they gonna
Just,
take the rocks out or just like crack them off and leave them in the rain?
they're gonna crack them off and roll them a
And
bit.
just leave them completely out.
Because if you start taking anything, you need multiple permits if you take more than 10 tons out of the.
Never mind. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
letting you know.
It seemed like a good.
It was good, but trying to get that rock out.
I think more than 100 grand.
Yeah, plus we have to get permits. More permits than we have right now.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional $31,500 from the Old Mill Reserve Fund to remove the last of the rocks of the old Red Mill project.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Next is budget discussions. And I'll do a little bit of rambling because
I'll pull it up on,
do we have any? We don't have anything.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm just gonna ramble for a bit, just because I get to. For budget season, the select board is going to be discussing sections of the budget with dollar figures that have been requested. The public is encouraged to follow the process. Initially, requests, including the town, start fully funded. As the budget is filled in, this number will, that cannot change, but other projections may be dropped or funding redistributed because we have to watch how much the taxes are going to be increased. We already know that additional loan payments are going to be added for the maintenance facility, as well as we're going to need a backhoe because of some safety concerns for our highway people. We're going to be adding back the money that we took away from highway last year because we need to make our roads safer again. But, there was good input from the kickoff meeting that was, the town meeting reimagined. And some questions were important, they were just looking for information, but others are interesting, specific requests. For example, some initial funding for a local radio station, which a folding ramp for accessibility, they could be borrowed. These are small requests that could have a big impact on the community.
a folding ramp for accessibility? Yep.
Yeah, and that way it would be borrowed for people as well as used, for different events. But these were, I went through the list and some of these were, actual things that you could figure out what it cost was. Others have intermediate costs that we would have to consider. And that's like a smaller plow for certain roads. They were talking about the, like, I think it's car wash or so. But, and then, and then there's the giant one, where we would need our public works coordinator to be tasked with determining feasibility, find the different funding sources,
Mm.
and for the largest infrastructure and compare water versus wastewater, things like that. I mean, that may or may, it'll be a certain amount, but it won't be actually doing something except the beginning process. And as the budget is developed, what can happen with ideas will be discussed, the public may see a budget with everything included. I think that's given that we encourage people to come and talk about budget, we need to show what everything would look like. And then we'll have a meeting where they see how the sausage is made and we talk about how we're gonna have to. What's gonna have to be dropped or not, or, you know, or scaled back or things like that. And because we already know that there's going to be, you know, an increase in the school budget already. This, the state said 7 to 8% if you're just level funded. And that didn't include the 12% increase of teacher healthcare. And so I don't know how that's gonna be split, but, you know, I think this is a way to encourage people to come to the budget and see different things and see that, you know, yes, we did take into consideration what people did talk about at kickoff.
Mhm.
And I think some of the smaller ones make a lot of sense. I mean, they can have a little big impact for a small cost. I don't know what the cost is, but you know,
Right?
you can find out. So anyway, here we go.
Yeah, so the first up is public health and safety. We've gotten the requests from Essex and Richmond. You will see Essex is requesting 85,849. That's a jump from last year's 79,629. Richmond is they've gone up just $420, 14,420. So they haven't gone up much.
That's impressive.
Police services, we've gone with the sheriff's department for 50 hours. Last year it was 177. This year I just increased it. It's $70 per hour. I increased it 70 to 75. Not sure if, you know, because their contract does not end until June. So
Dollars or hours?
dollars. So yeah, so $75 an hour.
For 50 hours.
Yeah, so I put that placeholder in there because, like I said, we won't get theirs until, and so we can change that always back to the 77 if we wanted to. Let's see, I can go through, let's see.
Health office?
Yep, health office, where are those?
I see so many of those numbers blank. I assume that's the reason
This
for
is-
that 2.5 instead of the 2.9.
Yes, because this is our working budget that we're working on, and the only ones, I'm trying to just go through the only ones that we've gotten for that category. Yeah, so
What do you mean when we said 2.5 instead of 2.9?
So see at the top, you see the 25 budget. is
Right here.
2.9 million.
in this budget,
And 26 is
Gotcha.
2.5.
I don't want
I
to,
want people looking at that
It's
and
like, oh,
thinking
they
like,
get a lot of money.
right,
Right.
and like I said, this is a working budget, and I want to be clear, I don't want to delete it because Brian has already got the formulas in here, so some of these numbers please don't take it until, so I thought I'd just,
Filling
make it
in the
yes,
blanks, and then eventually.
you'll have a whole,
They'll see the
it'll-
whole Christmas tree
mhm.
with everything in there, and
Yep.
then we have to.
yeah, you could hide, what you could do if you really, if you want to, you could right click on that and hide that cell.
oh, you can?
I don't know if you can hide a cell.
Yeah, you can, oh, no,
You have to hide it.
yeah.
Yeah, the column.
Can always change the font to white.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess-
But just
Let me
to let
go.
you know, you're
uh,
not screen sharing. I didn't know if you wanted to be.
Oh, yes. Oh, here we go again,
Yeah.
Eric.
We can see it great in here. This one shouldn't be as bad to screen share as PowerPoint.
No.
It shouldn't?
Nope,
No.
and then you gotta get to your Zoom, and then once you get down.
Always have problems with this.
Where is it?
Right, how do I expand
I think
this?
Share button at the bottom.
You don't want to share.
I think you
Oh,
don't-
share here.
And now you just go back to your
Now go-
Excel doc.
Okay, Excel document.
And let me go.
Yeah, where'd it
It
go?
might be opened in the browser, the Chrome browser there at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Chrome browser. No?
No, I think it's go back there for a second. I think it is.
Do Alt, hold down the Alt button. hit the
Yep.
Tab button. Alt Tab and then keep tabbing. There you go.
he closed, there it is.
Oh, maybe you can close it.
Good.
Can you see it on Zoom now?
Yes, thanks.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Thank you, Erin.
Now can we get
Can you
rid of?
minimize the?
But now she's gotta get it all set up again.
Oh, no. Am I still there?
Yeah, it's just a pain for, so this is a pain.
I don't like this at all.
Yep.
Okay, here it is, right?
Output share.
Oh, good, it doesn't have the other junk in it that we can't see.
Right.
Wonder all of us are going to see something.
Gosh.
There you go.
Okay,
We can see it
so
on
go
screen.
back up to Health Office. I didn't change it. There's nothing to be changed here. I kept it the same. No changes in that. And then,
I'm sorry. In terms of how we're attacking this, why are we jumping?
She's showing the stuff that she can fill in now.
I have the only stuff that I have is these categories. I don't have any others. No, I don't have,
Gotcha.
you know,
Okay.
planning.
Outside agencies, public health, health office.
Yeah.
Those what you have
Mhm.
data for, let's look at them.
Yeah, so
And that's
every
what we-
every select board meeting, we're gonna go through some categories of them.
Maybe jumping around.
It's just, it's just what you
Try
have.
one more thing. Can you go to line 17?
Uh,
Row 17. Oh,
This,
you maybe don't. Yeah. Right. Hi. There you go.
okay,
Now we won't see
I'm gonna
that.
talk about it and not look at.
right.
Yeah. That's right.
So I am going to, oh, and I just, we did get I'm going to the outside agencies, but the Jericho Town Library is separated on the budget itself. We did get their request. I'm not sure why this is blank, but they're asking for 29,600 this year. I think last year,
We didn't give anything last year. Out of the
Right,
budget, that's why.
because of the
Because we gave
100,000.
them the-
Yeah.
Out of ARPA.
right? Okay,
That could be a $29,000 increase in budget.
Or a $71,000 decrease, depending on how you look at it. But yes, technically, on the budget, according to this sheet, it's less.
Oh, because it's $100,000 revenue.
we gave them
Right, so
100,000.
We've been giving them a normal amount. Last year, we took a big chunk of ARPA and gave it to the library, so we zeroed out in the town budget.
Which technically you could zero this out again. And that reduces it.
Oh, I mean,
Well, we have to, because they didn't get.
You know, last year, if it was 25 and this is 26, that whatever it is, 51, they're up to 51 now. So they got
But the key
50.
is, they were hoping to use that to match some of the grants and do some of the work. So
Mhm.
I don't,
It
I,
had
If we
other
did that,
expenses.
that's-
Yeah,
That
exactly.
That's them off the needs.
Yeah,
so I think we should leave it to.
I would leave it at whatever it was. Can you see what it was in 24?
yep.
You look at.
Yeah, yep. No, this has got to go down.
Sorry.
25, 35.
That was,
That was 24.
Yeah.
And
that's the actual. vote.
Yep.
So we probably budgeted
20, yeah, yep,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
all that.
So outside agencies, which we've got all of them. The one that we won't have is Chittenden County Tax. It usually won't be any more than I'd say 34,000. Usually we're right around that mark. CCRPC.
They 2.5%
Mm-hmm.
increase.
Yep. Yep. So it's over here. It's like 2.7. The Park District, they're 42,713. They went up 10%. Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, these are mandated ones. So these are ones we don't have control over.
All those, the Jericho, the Park District.
These
and
up
City
here are
and Texas,
mandated.
we're told it's fine.
Correct. Yep. So on the non-mandated, you'll see pretty much everything is the same. This one dropped, the childcare resource, from 44 last year to 2,800. The one that jumped was QC. Last year was 42 and this year it's 83.94. I know.
Is that based on our use?
No,
Like, is it prorated based on how many cases you have in Jericho?
It used to be.
it used to be. Yeah.
It's not now, it's just.
It was based on grand list and
Mhm.
something. else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
It was a combination of, but
That'll be a good
QC.
discussion. Non-mandated going up 99.7%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
QC. Sometimes, well, see, a lot of places don't fund it anymore either.
mhm. Right.
So it just has to.
So it is non-mandated, so we could say like, yeah, we're not gonna.
The non-mandated are just
We could
requests
say
and we,
Zero that and then.
you can,
Who you have to deal with it.
you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you could keep it level funded.
Right, you can level fund, you can get rid of, you can do whatever you want.
Do we have anything from them about,
We
need to-
do.
We need to be able to answer what's going on there.
We do,
Okay,
we have paperwork. Yep,
that explains why it went up.
hmm
Okay.
yep.
I mean,
They have a
those are things that-
every outside agency has to fill out a discretionary funding report, so they have to give reasons and what their increase is, why they're giving an increase.
But
Yep.
what, you know, we were just talking about is how we eventually come up with the final budget, because you go, wow, that's a lot.
Mhm.
We can do-
Yeah.
Nathan Fred again. I'm curious about this one, if someone can speak to, like, in a nutshell, what this organization does, because I remember seeing this town meeting day last year. And it was a very strange entity, and I tried
It's
to
a
look them
very
up
strange-
online and figure out what they do and why and
Child
why
sexual
it's-
abuse.
Right.
And that's the guys who go out and either try to catch people who are doing it, or, you know, on the online stuff, or, people who actually are doing it. And then these are the, you know, like, what is it? The NBC show that is special unit. But, you
Well,
know,
but it's basically, it's
For
dealing with.
Kids.
Sexual assault of children,
Mhm.
both officers going after her perpetrators, and then officers also supporting.
Protecting the kids.
Victims and protecting kids and dealing with if kids need to come out. of
and,
the
you know,
home
and actually
or-
prosecuting them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's outside of, like, I
Yeah,
don't know,
it
it
is.
just, to me, it strike, I don't know.
It is, it's part of the police stuff, but we pay, because it's a special unit that does the whole county.
Mhm.
That's why we get charged for it.
But there's some towns that have decided not to opt
Yes.
this, right? And I think it's something to think about, because I do feel like it's one of these things that plays on people's fears. And I wonder how necessary their services really are,
And how much they do.
countywide and for Jericho too.
I mean, years and years ago, there was.
And there was no report from them either, I'll say, in the town. Like, all these entities, right, should do some sort of report in the town.
Well, we can't mail it all out anymore, but we're gonna put it on the website.
They do reports, but what we've been doing in the past is scanning them all in and putting them on the website. So everybody can see these outside agencies, because a lot of these, you know, like our QC for one, or Howard Center, you know, if you could take up, I don't know, 50 more pages in the town report, which is gonna cost you like $10,000 to create a report. So it makes, we've been doing it that way, is scanning all of the information in and putting it on the website.
I can tell you that Kuzi is critical, that it's not, I get that it's sort of scary to think about, but they're not doing nothing, I can tell you that.
I mean, years ago, Jericho had a really bad case with a lot of kids. And that's why we were paying a lot back then when they were.
Yeah, we were paying a
cases.
lot more. Mm.
But a lot of towns, because they provide police officers to it, they get, you know, in lieu of money, they have the police officers. And so there was different, so there was a real issue about how this was funded, and the town worked with them for a while, and as well as other towns like ours, and finally came up with the algorithm that funded.
I would like to see that algorithm and see.
Yeah,
how
I mean, we should ask
what-
for that.
What's giving us that number.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they, you know, but okay, South Burlington, 2 officers,
Mm,
this is X
mhm,
dollars.
mhm.
That was years ago, gosh, I can't even remember where to put it now.
So moving on, farmer's market, they increased $1,000 from last year. Feeding Chittenden is the same. Green Mountain Transit, we took out because they're no longer as of December.
Unless we put
Should we
money,
put some money in there as a holding spot for this van idea?
I spoke with Brad Holden and he thinks we should, talk, I've reached out to V-Trans, I've reached out to all three towns. No towns have got back to me except for Brad saying V-Trans is looking into this. Also, Linda was speaking to CCRPC about something else and she had mentioned it. And they're doing some research as well. And they're not sure what the outcome is. They're saying just kind of hold off and see what happens.
but if we end up doing a van service with the other town, the other two towns.
Other towns haven't gotten back to me. I
Other than
just,
Brad,
yeah,
cause it's
Where's
Cambridge.
Brad from?
The other.
Underhill,
Cause see, Tri-Towns was Cambridge, Underhill and Jericho,
right.
but you're talking about actually going all the way to Jeff.
Right,
Yeah.
Jeff Cambridge Underhill.
Yep, and each one of those I've emailed and I haven't heard back.
Cause you're right, you wanna do something, cause V-Transit went. I talked to, the Underhill rep, in a social event the other day. And he at once said, oh yeah, V-Transit actually at one point was, providing vans for these van services. Well, I talked to Wayne said, no, that wasn't the case,
Mm,
but he said, but.
I'd like to not let that just slide away. I'd like to have you take a second shot at those towns.
Oh, I haven't given up. I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm,
I think
But I'd like
to
to
the
leave
point of this budget, Peter's trying to say, maybe we.
do you
because-
want to put a placeholder in
Put
there?
some money somewhere, but I don't think you can put it there because it's just the wrong spot for it, but yeah, I think you could,
Oh, I see.
you know what I mean, like this
It
is.
wouldn't,
we're
it
talking
can't be
about
called
the
Green
budget.
Mountain Transit,
Just
but
put transit service. Take out-
But would it go under non-mandated or would go, like, I feel like mandated
Or
are all these
maybe go
external agencies and whereas this might be some sort of homespun thing, I don't know. It just seems like
It
it
may
doesn't
be,
belong,
yeah.
it wouldn't belong here, but to Peter's point, put some somewhere.
Well, right now, let's just stick it here until we figure out what it's gonna be called.
Yeah, that's fine.
What would you like to put in there?
15.
In what?
Is
maybe
that,
next to Green Mountain Transit, put in parentheses like Tri-Town plan or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a marker.
Yeah.
Tri-Town van plan.
There you go. PPP, I like it.
yeah, because it's figured, 48,000 to get, 45,000 to get you somewhere. Especially if V-Trans has small vans. That go DT.
So Jericho Center Preservation, they're level funded. Food shelf was $200 more than last year, $3,200. Seniors, they're asking $1,925 from $1,750 last year. So there is senior citizens that have these gatherings, and it could be for anywhere from lunches to
just
like
so
flu
it's
shots and
athletic.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Memorial Day, that's level funded. MMCTV, they are up $100. The tennis court, was a discussion last year. They asked for 4,000 last year. We gave them 1,000. They're asking 3,000 this year. The tennis courts.
Maintaining
Or
the
the-
tennis courts.
Mhm,
But mostly MMU uses it, but sometimes public does.
mhm.
What's the 4,000, what's the heart of the $3,000 request, like what they're gonna do with that money?
No, I do not. Last year they asked for 4,000 and they had explained that they hadn't received funding from us in the previous years, so they wanted to make up for it. So they asked for 4,000 instead of 1,000. We used to give them 1,000.
Yeah. we
And
do.
then they
Did
stopped.
we not give them thousands for a couple of years?
Yes, because we couldn't, it just went awry. Nobody was.
No one was doing it.
Yeah, nobody was
They-
doing
they weren't
anything.
spending money.
Right,
Oh,
exactly. Nobody was. Yeah, they didn't have no
I just wanna
head
know what they're
person.
doing.
I can certainly give that information to you.
Well, temporarily not, this is where, well, no, not gonna knock it down, and we're just gonna do the big stuff, but then not that as we go through it. Now with MMCTV, let's put another line in just in case, to ask them about their radio plans.
Radio plans?
Yes.
Yeah, they're looking at starting a radio thing, but I
And they
think,
have a
but I
permit.
think
They have
I
a
talked to
permit.
Angelica about it, but I think it's like 3 years out. I don't think it would be in this budget.
Because, well, because that was talked about at kickoff.
Yeah.
And,
She was at the, what do you call it?
Town meeting?
No, the Harvest Market. She was at Harvest Market and giving out information, and I talked about it a little bit there, but it was a few years out, I think, before they would even.
well,
have it.
because I wondered, because they talked about needing some startup funding because they already have their permit. So anyway, I just thought, well, let's just stick.
I did put radio plans and we'll
Yeah.
ask her. Our community cares camp is level funded. Steps to end domestic violence is level funded. The Howard Center asked for 500 more than last year, so it's 2,500. UVM Home and Health Hospice, that's level funded.
I really want to look into that one. I want to understand what happens if we don't pay them,
Mm,
right? Like what,
Mhm.
like. I still don't understand. And when I say I don't understand it, I used to support the billing analysts so our customers were the billers, so like the main guy, and there's like the VP, I'm like, do you realize that he also happens to live in Jericho? I'm like, do you realize that the town of Jericho pays home health and hospice this? And he had no idea. So I'd love to find out what that's for.
Yep, I can get.
And I'm sure it's for good things, and they
But
do great work.
And why the 25 and not 20 or 35, like what's the thought behind it?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I think it depends on the big load in Jericho,
yeah,
but you're right.
but yeah, I just like to understand what is it
Back
for?
years.
Yeah.
Vermont Cares level funded. Vermont Center for Independent Living is level funded, and Winooski Valley Park District went up 6% from last year, 17,519.
And you realize if you really want to have more information, we can ask these to come in and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, which, you can take a
I don't
chance.
want that much.
I can get you information.
Paragraph.
I can get you that, right.
Slideshow.
Yes. Yes, I will get that for you, Peter.
I don't want to spend. Yeah. hours
Yes.
listening to people.
Yes. Yep, for sure.
All right.
That's really cool, so I like that. So that was a little presentation on what information you have so far.
Yeah, so I kind of would like, I mean, however you guys want to do it, but it's like, this is our draft that we work in, so every time things will change, but if we go through like the segments, each petition, each section, we'll get it done by January and people will have,
And then we'll make sausage.
exactly, so.
Well, we need to do that before January.
Oh, yeah, we
I mean, we need to,
Because what
Yeah,
we want to present something.
We'll
saying,
have-
hey,
Yes, you got our work
here's our
session,
plan.
we got our work sessions
And they'll
too.
tear apart, but we have to have a plan for,
Yeah.
hopefully they all say yes and then we're done, but.
Last year,
there will
Kathy
be
worked
some.
as hard. She made us meet on, what was it, like, was it just the morning of December 25th, but just for like an hour or something? Yeah.
Just from like, before I get like 5 to 6 a.m.
I will say, I gave her so much crap. I'm like, you telling us we have to meet? It was like the 20th or something. I'm like, you kidding me? And then we met and I realized how much there was left to do. And yeah, there's a lot coming. And
There's a lot. There'll be a lot.
I think like the more faster we can get, so.
Next on the discussion is the update on the grants and the municipal match amounts. Or do you want to do the payment schedule and loans first? Either way.
Whichever you want to do.
So let's talk about,
And you've stopped screen sharing. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Oh, it wasn't, so I'll mess it up again.
let's do grants so people understand where, where money.
Okay,
money
so
we
let me
have
go back
covered,
here.
actually. There's a lot of this, we will be encumbering it for the next few years.
Did we do the half one?
Yes.
Did I do it, Aaron?
You did.
Yes.
Yeah, but-
I can
Yes.
tell.
Oh, you can? Okay, good.
That's why- part of why I like it.
Okay. Yeah, so we're doing the grant one?
Yeah, just so people understand how much money we have out there in grants and how much.
Yeah.
How much are massive, but it is next year.
Right, so on the grants, these are listed, not in any particular order. But like the planning commission right now is working on the bylaw modernization grant. Whoop. I think for them, I believe their goal is to have it done.
Oh, we still have that funky thing over the side there.
Hold on, don't write that. Hold on. Click on that right there, that little line.
I believe they're hoping to get that grant. We have 2 years on that grant, but I believe that they're hoping to have it done February, March, I think. So,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
That was
So you'll
that was
see-
Susan, the last time I talked to Susan.
right. And so we don't know the match because it's the loan.
Oh, yeah.
It's the,
Thought we had a grant for the bylaw modernization.
that's not the loan. Where is the loan? Yeah. The wastewater feasibility, yep, okay, yes. So they're not sure what this will be because of the fact that the match requirement could be waived if the zoning changes are adopted by the end of the grant. So not,
Which we hope to do.
yeah, for sure.
Wait, sorry, so if the zoning changes are adopted and passed and donezo before the end of the grant, we don't pay the grant back at all?
We don't have a match.
We don't have a match.
That's right. Exactly.
That sounds like a good plan.
Riverside Sidewalk. That grant is a $600,000 grant. And that is actually moving along. Linda is working really well with Derek on that. So I think that one, it's possible these two next, the two next grants, Riverside Sidewalk and Lee River, they might be this coming spring. So
Well, I know that the tip from the RPC, which I think it's gonna be approved, has the Riverside for 25, 26, which, means
yeah,
next.
yep,
next year,
yep.
because that's fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26.
What's the tip? What did you say?
TIP is the Transportation Improvement Program, and things that,
That's a Chittenden County level thing?
that's the Chittenden County level. Anything in the Chittenden County level then goes to the STIP, which is the State Transportation Improvement Plan, because funding, how the funding works.
Yeah, so I think for me, the most important columns are these two columns. Like we have a grant amount, but looking at what the town has to pay for each grant. Like the Lee River grant, it's a $32,000 grant, but we have to pay 80,000 of that grant. Same with the MMU path, it's a $600,000 grant, but we have to pay 150,000.
So the whole cost is $750?
No.
No,
Whole cost, they're only gonna fund, the total is 600, although technically that's probably not enough for that grant.
I'm trying to differentiate, is the 150 part of the 600 number?
yes,
So the grant, they call it a grant for 600 because you put in 150.
yeah. Every time you apply for a grant, they'll say, you ask for a certain amount or you put in an amount of, say, $600,000 is what this is going to cost. They'll come back and say, okay, you are awarded the $600,000, but for state, it's 80, 20, 70, 30, whatever it is.
So the 150 is not in addition to the 600, it's part.
It's part of that.
A grant for 450.
Yeah, but that'd be good to put in a column for that.
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know I don't know if that's what I understood.
Yeah, but that's
It
what it
seems like
is.
a weird way to talk about it, honestly.
Yeah.
The grant amount.
It's a weird way to show it on,
Giving me
That's what a
this.
grant
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
It is.
600 grand, but.
Right, oh wait, I mean, I'm gonna give you $1,000 grand. Right.
Guys.
Yeah.
That just seems like a weird.
Yeah.
But that's how it's awarded.
That's how.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, it is, but it is weird, but your match is X number of dollars, so we're gonna give you 450.
Right. So the wastewater feasibility, that one is the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund. So there's no match or nothing there.
Wait, hold on. You go to the left, what's line 6?
The wastewater feasibility.
That's the 90%,
Mhm.
that's all the work.
You want to hide a couple of those columns? That might be easier, so you don't have to keep going back and forth.
Yeah,
Maybe-
do you want me
maybe
just
hide-
like,
Maybe leave B, but.
What about agency, organization, agency,
Yeah,
contact,
get rid of C.
and the grant
oh,
number?
good gravy, C and D.
Yeah.
We can always look it up, but just so you're not.
I'm gonna just hide the
Yeah, and
contact
and
too.
Grant number 2 can go.
Yeah,
There you go.
That way you can
There we
see a little bit more. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's the wastewater feasibility.
That is.
Yep, yep. Bridge 15, that is a big one that's coming up. So that's what the town will have to pay.
that, I mean, the minimum, that's better than it was initially, because initially there was 170,000.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I
Yeah.
remember being 5%, so. it looks like
Yep.
5%.
yep.
Where is that,
Yep.
where is that bridge on the-
That's down.
Below
Right
the
around corner from the-
highway department, below the highway department as you're going up to
Drop down.
Governor Peck
Oh,
Road.
okay.
That's
Uh,
a complete rebuild, and, Brown Straits will be closed, will be closed.
Mhm, mhm. FY 24 grant and aid, that is complete. We get 18,000, we have to put a match in, and that grant is all done. We're gonna submit that, I believe next week.
Oh, cool, so we get
Um,
a few bucks back.
Yeah. The 25 grant and aid, that is will be worked on, I think, next spring, summer. And Jacob's gonna continue on Nashville Road with that. So we'll be able to have that hydrologically connected piece done.
Segments.
Yep.
Yeah, because we need to make sure we meet our, standards for the.
Mm-hmm. The FY 24 paving grant, that will be paved. I'm surprised Linda didn't put the amount in here because we have that. That will be paved this in spring. That being said, I just want to, I don't think she put it on here. So back up to this paving grant, we talked about paving Nashville Road apron.
Mhm.
And we also talked about, yep,
Yeah, old pump apron stuff,
yes.
and the apron into the road.
The bridge will need to be fixed and redone, and that's gonna be $150,000.
So that's new.
For our match.
That's a new,
Or that's,
all new.
do we get matches for that?
We don't have a grant for that.
We're gonna modify the grant.
Okay.
I know I'm new to this, but. Grant would be great.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Tyler just sent over the information. That's an approximate amount, but that's what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, because we missed the structure, that's.
We didn't get the
When does
structures
that have to be
grant.
done? It has to be done when?
What, the grant?
The bridge.
Well, you've dealt with the
I mean,
people that
I
have
know,
been here, so,
There's no date other than just everyone's mad and we said.
Right. right.
Well, we didn't say we'd replace it. You said replacing the bridge?
Not replacing
Oh,
it,
doing-
fixing
doing
it.
Okay.
It needs to be
Like,
fixed.
With the stuff that we
You
said.
have to- yeah,
Okay, got it.
So it's $150K.
yep, the membrane, fixing the membrane, all of that.
Thing down and play,
Mm,
play new.
yeah,
There
And
goes a
also-
whole lot of the, town road budget, because what was it, we took almost 200,000 away.
mm-hmm,
So there's 150 right there, and then we gotta put more in for this year to actually, to do the real road.
We might have to, well,
what I said.
There's ways that, I mean, we could put half of it in this year's budget and half in next year's budget or something.
Mhm.
When they actually get around to doing it, right?
Right, that's one way of doing it.
Oh,
Because
but then, right,
it's-
but the budget starts in July, so it'd be,
This would be
I
July.
always forget how far out we're talking.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
starting, this budget starts July 1,
Yeah, so we
2020.
probably can't wait that long.
No,
Yikes,
no, if we were doing 24, 25, we could, but it's.
yeah,
And then we also don't have on here the apron of, we talked about pushing that pavement back.
some, yeah.
But that would be part of our normal paving cycle too. rather than-
Yeah, we could do that apron part of the regular paving instead of a grant.
Yes. Okay.
Hi, I'm Tom Johnson. This might be premature, but does the select board want to look at cost and feasibility of extending drinking water service to Jericho Center and the commercial district?
That's one of the discussion items that we were gonna have with the feasibility for wastewater because, you know, why, do you have a grant?
Do you have some money, Tom?
Well,
You got a lot of people in this room that are looking for it.
there's a drinking water revolving fund.
Right, we know that, yeah, but you're right, we could apply for one of those things to look at the feasibility. That's why we're in the process of hiring a public works person, so that's their job, is to go out and find this stuff. And come back to us and say, this makes sense. Because
You're talking about doing you had a drinking water feasibility study?
Well, that was the suggestion in
Yeah.
the wastewater report was,
So like,
it was not included in that, but there was a suggestion.
you might want to
about
also think
Yeah,
about doing,
looking
exactly.
at
look at
Yeah,
municipal water.
extending water service. That's
yeah,
all.
exactly, because for the Jericho Center, it really makes sense to have water, because it
I noticed Tom is nodding when you say that.
well, I mean, in some ways, because that's one of the things to look at for Jericho Center in terms of cost as well. And you're right, when you look at the commercial district, because both of them, commercial district already has water close by. But Matt Champlin for several years now has advocated for water coming into the center because of the building and structures. So anyway, I mean, that could be looked, we looked at all three village centers already, so we can certainly put that on the list of grants to look for the next couple of years. But that's why we're having that's why we decided we needed a public works person. But she even said, you might find yourself on a committee. She did say, oh, hey, there's Tom.
I did work on the Warren Village wastewater project.
Are you willing to be involved and help guide the process for us?
Yeah, possibly.
Really a job and we need expertise, like none of us really know about it and you do, so I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Right.
other people, in town that want to have some skill set. All right, keep walking on. Now, this lady one, that's kind of a weird one,
This was something from the previous town administrator, which I have not been involved in. It's more or less, it doesn't affect Jericho per se. Jericho can help.
They were gonna use this as a test case or something, is what it was.
But what, do you know what it is now?
I could say something about that.
Okay.
Today I attended the fall trade show of the Green Mountain Water Environment Association. One of the presentations was on a wastewater mapping project that UVM
That's what it is.
staff and students are working on.
I believe so.
Specifically mentioned.
Yep.
at that presentation.
Yeah, because we were supposed to be a test look at.
I have not,
Why would we have a grant that's in our, so I assume these are grants that are in our name?
No, this one's not. It's the Leahy thing. The way I understood it is they applied for it to be our own grant.
But it's not our grant.
And then they went ahead and Leahy said, no, we're gonna take yours and put it into this one or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, but that's.
I'll get more information on that one.
I have in my head, and I don't know who told me this, but that was, using a UVM intern to help educate Jericho about, here's the wastewater, here's what the whole select board's hoping to do, here's why it's beneficial, here's how you can get involved, here's how, that it was like using a UVM student to help us and the planning commission and whoever communicate about the importance of wastewater and all of that. That's, I don't know why I think that, but
I
that's.
don't,
But
I
that's
don't,
got the idea behind, but then that was gonna be the grant itself, and then it got, they moved it into this bigger one, so I don't know whether.
yeah, it's like helping someone down south. We're connected with,
Yeah,
a town down south, I think, or.
um,
Go ahead,
Okay,
Tom.
the presentation I heard this afternoon was, one of the speakers was, worked for Windham County
Wyndham,
Regional Planning.
yes.
That's it.
And talked about New Bain and some other towns.
Yeah,
down there.
yep.
They're doing a mapping project to kind of get a up-to-date inventory.
I
of-
believe that's what this is.
For rural communities. And the Leahy Institute was involved with that.
Mhm.
That might be different from what's on that.
Mm.
So you think our $12,000 was taken away
I,
and used down in Wyndham?
I don't know where the $12,000 came from. I mean, I did, Linda plugged this in, so I've gotta look at this and find out because I don't know where, if we're just like assisting with them, I don't know why we have 12,000 on here.
The note
Josh?
right there says Jericho will hire, you move over,
Yeah.
Jericho will hire an intern. Is that what the
yeah, but we're not sure.
I don't think that's, I don't know. I can't answer that. Pay them
For $12,000.
Mhm.
For?
for $12,000.
But this
That
is
lines
the
up-
grant,
that
this is the
lines up.
grant spreadsheet, yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that lines up with my understanding. I don't know where it came from, but we had
Hmm.
$12,000.
That's what the
I mean, if there's
original
a, we have a
application-
grant to do it, then
That was the grant application initially, but then they decided that, I remember they talked about rolling us into this other project.
yeah, yep.
So, so
Uh,
we need to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's a good thing we went through this, because that one, that's why you have question marks.
Better Back Roads, that is done. And we should be getting, that back. Jericho Town, so Karina is still, this is still in process. What they're doing now on the forest dam is they're looking, at the abutters. So I'm working with Lori to get the abutters for Karina to, start the process of contacting them if there's any abutters for the forest dam.
So that'll be definitely in the budget then.
Yep,
'Cause they,
that's coming, yeah, close. This walking college, I don't believe
that was already done.
knows about this.
Yes, Sabina did it a couple years ago.
Well,
paid-
why?
We paid for, her to go to the walking college, I don't know, it was a few $100s.
I think it was really recent. I mean, she just recently reported on doing it in
But-
something. I don't remember.
So
if it
is
was-
this
But she
something
said
that
they
can
done-
be
'cause that was
taken,
last year she did.
is this something that can be taken out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because she already did it, we already paid for it. But she has the skill set, that's why she was, that's why she was helping advise the trails, well, bike ped pedestrian connectivity committee.
The community caring for canopy, that is still, we had the 2 interns this past summer doing the, the ash borer inventory. So, I think they're moving on to the next steps with that. And Sabina is working with Don Toby on that.
Am I reading that right, that we've got a grant for $32.50 and of that we were paying $32.50?
Yep, it says,
For
it, the
$2 and all?
Yeah, that's why I don't think the way it's written is right. So we had to, for the match on that, the
It's-
match could be in labor. So
Yeah.
just like these guys were talking about with theirs, right, 30% of that could be like in labor. I remember that this one was 100%. The only thing we had to do was provide labor, which I think we did. And so that's why I don't understand why,
This-
The two columns.
yeah,
Yeah, this one says the 32.50,
Yeah.
32.50, and that's because the grants only pay 50% of the project
Yeah.
expenses up to 32.50.
mm-hmm,
And
Yeah,
And so. the
So
other-
That's
we
why
don't have
it's
to
there.
We don't have to spend real dollars. We had to spend like labor and.
Right.
Which we did.
Yep,
That still doesn't.
right, because that,
Still doesn't add up with the idea that the right-hand column is part of the previous column. That says that we were awarded 3250. And we're paying, and of that 3250.
we're paying 3250, right,
We got
exactly.
nothing from anybody.
But see, the grant pays 3250, we put in 3250.
Yeah, but his point is, so like up there.
The
right?
columns
Looking at the
should be
MMU The
read,
MMU path says 600,000.
Yeah.
And so for that one, we're saying the total is 600,000. But for line 14,
Oh, yeah,
we're
you're
saying the total is 7,500.
Oh, yeah, so if we should put 7,000 then.
Right.
Mhm.
Something's.
Yep.
So it's very
messed up, that's
consistent.
all.
I'll work
It's
with,
good information.
Linda
We're
on
never
this.
picking apart like little stuff.
yeah, but still, it does show, it isn't that clear to,
But I don't know how I'd write it because
I
we're
would
not
put,
paying any more than 3250. But we put in 3250.
Like I would put in 3250 and 0 and a note saying must provide 3250 worth of
labor,
labor.
which we already did. I think this is done.
yeah,
We
the,
did
the,
this already.
we did the interns, they are in, and it was their pay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
yep. Old Red Mill,
I think we should just take that one out because.
the community's caring.
No, I already jumped
Oh.
over in mill.
Oh,
Because we already talked about community caring.
yeah, no,
But if
I'm,
it's already done, and if it's, the project is over, why do we need it there as well?
The mill, what are you talking about?
yeah,
Somewhere you said community caring, I said it's already done.
yeah, so do you want me to remove that one?
I think so.
Yeah,
Unless it's not done. I thought it was. done.
No, I'm, yeah,
and the community, and the Old Red Mill, there's no, see, there's no grant funding right now. This is what the town has paid, so there's no point putting it in. Except this information somewhere that this is what the town has paid.
right, for me, I
Is this
think,
helpful?
well, I'm just saying this is what we have to pay, so.
Yeah.
We need to know what we're paying out for all of these big things. That for me, it's
That's a good idea,
helpful.
True.
because it's highly unlikely that the grant will be.
Right,
executed.
right. Yeah. And then the MERP is,
The
Jenna-
MERP is the energy task force because
Yes.
it went to energy committees.
yep,
And that was a non-competitive $4,000. The energy committee has not spent any money yet, but is working with a consultant to work on the the climate action plan initiatives that can be, particularly when it relates to transportation within, and then put it within our enhanced energy plan, because turns out about some towns started out doing an enhanced energy plan, and then it did a climate action plan. They're 95% overlapping. So it's better just to do a climate action plan insert into the enhanced energy plan, because we already have an enhanced energy plan. We don't, but there's not enough information on transportation, greenhouse gas work. And that's what the MERP will do. Because MERP can only be used for education, creating an energy task force or committee, doing doing consulting work, or doing a big event like the Waterbury Energy Fair in the spring. And so that's what we're working on, and was working with a consultant to write the climate action, with action items that will be inserted then into the energy plan. Oh, here's where we just discussed then, huh? And
old pump, I just put that on there. So I put it in our column right now until,
Right, we have
We-
a grant amount of 0.
right, yeah.
Well, actually, it should be 150, right? Because it should be, the whole cost is 150. Of that, we have to pay. If there's two columns, there's not- and those two columns need to say.
I got that written down. We gotta fix that.
Two columns.
That's right, they do. But that's a substantial chunk of change that we have in grants and then our matches.
Yeah,
All of which will show up in the budget in one part or another, because a lot of that work is, will be done in 2025,
mhm,
2026. Because this is 2025, we're actually working on.
yeah.
So this will be the 2026 budget.
Let me-
It's so confusing, especially like. We're in
The
24,
years, like.
we're in budget 25, and we're planning budget 26. It's so hard to keep in your head.
You just stopped sharing again.
We're
I
living
know.
25 right now.
We're living
We're
in
living
budget 25.
We're talking right now.
The
about
real
about
year is
26.
2024
Right.
somehow.
Yeah, we're
The
talking.
budget
about-
year is current budget year that
Even-
we're spending out of right now is
Is 25.
25, and we're talking about 26. Not necessarily with these grants, but like
But, yeah.
with
Have a good evening, guys.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula, for putting that together.
You are welcome.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good
so
stuff.
how come,
Very good.
Linda put it together, but I will,
Pass it on.
we did good.
Okay,
right.
next is our wonderful, what we gotta pay out during the next fiscal year in terms of, loans.
Yeah, so how come I can't choose it? Am I sharing it?
Not yet.
Well, we can see it here. Very nice, thank you.
So how come I can't see it on here again?
It does that to you sometimes.
Oh, here. No, not there.
You need to leave this screen and open it.
Leave
But this is
in
the sharing screen.
Right.
It's not open anywhere, right? It's not open anywhere. So when
It's
it goes to
open-
show it-
here.
I don't get why it's not coming up on that.
Now
screen.
go, leave that there.
Yep.
And now go down to the Zoom. And share.
Yep.
And never mind.
It's not working.
Hold on. Yeah.
Huh.
God, why can't it work?
Did you just do entire screen?
We could do entire screen.
That probably is the way to
On this?
go.
So go back to
Go to
the share.
Zoom, go to Zoom
I'm glad.
and then just choose screen.
Right.
Top left.
Top left. Down.
That,
Yeah.
Oh, right here.
Now just click share.
And now open the spreadsheet.
Okay, will it be here?
No,
No,
go
no.
down, go
Keep
down,
going down.
right
There you
there.
go.
You see it now?
Yes, sweet success.
Jeez, So
I'm glad there are
this,
people who know that.
it's so funky.
Their dialogue that comes up for what you're gonna share is very unintuitive.
Mhm.
Even for me,
Yeah, I
who's on Zoom for freaking daily.
Right.
It's true, you are, it's not.
So I did this sheet, I took it from the audit. In the audit book, it gives a little bit, but we kind of updated it. So you'll see, like the town office, that's the bond. And let me just go
That
over.
runs out through 2029,
Yes,
60K now. And
yep,
then the interest, which
yes,
isn't listed.
it isn't, it's right here. Yep.
Oh, there it is, interest paid during the.
Yep. Yeah, so. Go back.
Yeah, you back over there. So what is the? Back to the left. So so due in 1 year,
Every year we pay the 60,000.
okay, principal paid during the year. One column over,
Mm-hmm,
says 60,000. And interest paid.
right, so,
9.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the due in 1 year column is.
I think that's just for Brian's records.
The way these, one thing we came to learn in talking with Brian on some of these, the
Oh,
way municipal loans are set up, they're a little different than like your mortgage or whatever.
Yeah.
The principal amount you pay every month is fixed. And so your interest goes
The
down. So
interest.
your total payment goes down every month
right,
because whatever
As
that.
opposed to this happening, it's just consistent.
Right,
Yes.
The mortgage, you start out paying this much
And
principal
flip-flop.
and then it flips,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
with these loans, they're,
Your principal is
Principal is
amortized across, and the
fixed.
interest goes
and
down.
the interest goes down because your balance goes down every
Yep.
year.
So the next big payment is the John Deere, the grader. And that will be, the last payment will be actually 2020.
Then. This final payment December 2024? But it has money in 2025. Well, it is the fiscal budget 2025.
Wait, what are you looking at? What's that?
Yes, the final payment will be in December. I'm sorry. Yes. The final payment for the grader will be done in 24. So this will be paid off this December.
How much does that save us?
Wait,
22,000.
we're living in 2024 right now.
No, we're budget 2025.
Yeah, but that says the final payment accrual or last payment date is the last day of.
I think that's
2023.
incorrect.
Okay.
We had to, I think Amy corrected that on one of her sheets. So it is December
That's
31st,
2024.
24. Yep, so there will be a final payment in December and that will be paid off. These have been paid off, so these are no longer,
International.
yep,
2022.
that was another international. Yeah, so the 2020, this is the excavator and trailer.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll,
That goes out of ways.
yep, 2027.
So for our budget 2026, it'll be 20,794.
It will be,
If I'm reading it correctly.
I'm on the wrong one. It will be 20,024, yep, 204, I mean.
Well, that's 2025. We're looking at what's going to go in the budget.
Oh, for 2026?
To 794.
Yep, 2794. Mm-hmm. Yep, sorry about that.
Can you go back to the left? And hold on. So what is the, you go, nope, to the right now, sorry, 1, 2, 3, right there. That column says accrual or last payment date, June of 24.
Because I think this, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the last accrual date for the audit.
Yes. This is
When the
this is
audit-
an audit sheet. and-
Yes, this is an audit sheet that we're working off from. Yes,
Okay,
And we,
that was the last date that it was.
Yes.
Paid and it was part of.
correct.
Part of that audit.
Yes,
Okay, that makes a huge difference.
right,
Yep.
because we're gonna accrual based,
Yep, okay.
Yep.
I got that. So probably then this probably was
23.
23.
Yeah, you're actually
Maybe
right.
it-
Yep.
It was not based on when it was actually paid, it was based on when the audit was done.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, for sure. The other one is the underground storage tank removals. So that will be up in 27. And you'll see the payments on that. I think that's like 590 or 590 a month.
It's 7,080.
Yeah, it's a year. So we do it monthly, $590 a month. So you add it up into a year.
$1,080.
Yep, yep.
And now we're back to another international.
Right, so the next one is the 24 International. And that won't be up for until, 27. Yeah, and that's like 30, whatever it is, 31, 33, yeah. So these, I mean, for you guys to look at, it's that column on this spreadsheet of 25 or 26 is what you want to look at, 2026.
So we're looking
That's what
at-
you're gonna need for payments, but
That's 121,282, but then we gotta add this other stuff.
you gotta add the December 20, you gotta add in December, we have to have that municipal equipment loan fund for the backhoe.
That's what I was wondering about, where the backhoe shows up.
It's not because this is from the audit last year.
The
So
one that-
I
they just-
added,
They just had the audits, the people came. through.
yeah, So this municipal equipment loan fund won't be included in even this year's audit because we haven't gotten it yet. So if you put,
So that's gonna go in the 26 budget.
it has to. So the town has to come up with $41,067. They will give a loan.
Where's that, what's that number? 41,000, what's that?
So if you look at,
So that'll be in 26, or we have to do it in 25?
This.
I sent them all to you guys. Did you get it?
Who's got it?
Yeah, you should have all of them.
Where do you have it?
Well, I sent Linda sent it to you guys.
Was
I
it
didn't-
I opened up the packet, I didn't see.
I'm in the packet, but I didn't see it in the packet.
I
But
didn't see
didn't-
it in the-
Didn't you guys get this beforehand? I sent it to you guys before.
Yeah, it was, I think it was in the packet.
Oh, yeah,
See?
no,
Mhm.
it was in the final
sent
draft
it-
agenda.
Yeah,
I'll have copies, blah, 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 so yeah,
Oh, the draft agenda?
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
anyway,
that came here
um,
on November 4th.
we're talking the 41,067 the town has to pay. Is that what, do you have to pay that now in 2025? Or
Well,
we're gonna put it in 2026's budget?
I think you've got to put it in this coming budget that we're going to be dealing with.
Oh, that's 2026 then. Okay.
Because of the fact that the municipal loan fund will only lend out 150,000.
Uh-huh,
And the
It's more
total's
than that.
191.
yeah. Okay. So we can start with that.
Oh.
So we have to add.
But you know what?
21, 12, 121.3, and add 41. So that's 162,000 in loan. And then you don't even have the town maintenance facility in there at all, which will also be in this one.
The bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're already looking at one, as I said, 160, essentially 162.3.
I was gonna ask about that bond. Have we taken it out yet?
No,
Brian's working on it now.
Okay.
because we didn't need
We-
it until we go to construction,
Okay.
because we're using ARPA funding until then.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
That's the way we can pay it down, not have to take out quite as much in money.
So we're paying like the engineering stuff, all that sort of stuff, we're being paid out of that ARPA money that we
Yeah.
find in that $500,000 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
I'm hoping to break ground on the 16th of May.
wow. That's great. But there's
A lot.
a lot. It's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see what the budget's going to look like before we make.
Before we go in with our machete.
Property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a machete, but,
yep.
okay.
Oh, that's great.
Hopefully that's
That was good.
helpful.
Yeah, very
That was
helpful.
excellent.
I feel like, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the agenda this week.
That's
Just
okay.
like, you'd be like, yeah, that sounds good. But that's good. I think it's helpful, especially because usually we go into like the budget working session when we're just like,
Right, not
you've got to go through line by line.
right.
Well, this is also helpful because the public will see this one in the MCTV and it'll be on the web, it'll be.
Right,
in the,
exactly. Yeah.
in the minutes and everything else. So
Yep.
They can start paying attention to,
Eric, I can't find the email that has, the email that I found has the projects documents, like the
And it doesn't have this one?
one you just added the.
Yeah,
they
yep.
came together, yeah.
So this one was on
PhD
November
of the file?
4th
I thought they came together, but.
at 11:02 a.m.
Oh, it's down below. Okay, yeah, I got it.
I totally
apologize.
didn't see it either. I mean, she does have a whole paragraph in there that says I have attached. But you gotta remember, like, well, I'm probably gonna read half of the first sentence.
Eric just reads little bits and pieces of it.
I usually
Okay,
tell employees, like, if you have something important, make sure you include it in that first sentence.
well, that's a lot
The
of
key
people.
is to bold the sentences that matter.
Mhm, right, bold words.
Like the legislators do the same thing because they can't read so much material, so it's just, if it's not that first sentence, forget it.
Eric, do you want that green?
No. I don't
Okay,
have it.
thank you.
So anyway, next is our, approve the liquor licenses. And there's only one.
I will make a motion to approve Griffin Riders LLC at Mansfield Barn 5 days ago on 11/2/2024. I hope they have a great time
I will second that.
in negative 5 days. Maybe I'll stop by. I don't know.
You're gonna stop by.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, select board updates. I will start with, a little bit because we already talked about the old mill, and then Paula can fill in where, she feels is necessary as well. But, basically, the town representatives, which is Paula and myself, the Historical Society, which was, Sue Richardson and Ann Squires. And then there was, members of the Preservation Trust Vermont. I didn't write the names down, but there were two of those. Of the state, there was also, a state conservation representative and their engineer, and then our town geotechnical engineer. And we all got together to discuss issues at the old Red Mill, so we can get updates of where we were. And so the two engineers spent a great deal of time talking to each other
Yeah.
and studying the building. They went down into not all of us went down to the little grotto that's down there because you had to really jump over everything. And so the site visit was very helpful. So what the discussion focused on was considering moving the additional rocks and debris to minimize the future water issues. So even if we don't get the wall right away or things like that, they can work on the foundation and the adjacent wall. And there was work that has been done to determine that the building is actually split 6 inches. Over time. And so, when
So it's over how much time?
they weren't sure,
So since it was built, maybe, or
since probably the seventh,
Thursday, like.
yeah.
yeah.
Thursday.
Find out exactly, but 'cause we know that in 71, that's what Gary Irish talked about, that one crack showing up, but
Yeah.
they felt that there was,
That crack position 71?
that's what,
Wow.
That's what they said.
that's what they said, but they said that there's another 6 inches slide. But, based on their engineers look at this stuff. So anyway, the next steps after the final rock removal would be 2 possible scenarios. To stabilize the bank ledge underneath the mill and estimate the cost. And those 2 scenarios, one is actually taking all those rocks and putting in some serious metal structure, but taking all the rocks and pouring them off and then rebuild them. The other one is using all kinds of fancy glue and metal pilings and things like that to actually just lift up the corner and work from the inside rather than take the wall entirely down and then use internal structure to build and then hook it with rock bolts into the ledge. So our geotechnical engineer is supposed to come up with those 2 scenarios and cost with working with the engineer from the Preservation Trust, I believe. And so that needs to be done before we even talk about anything else. And find out how much that's going to cost, because even if we were to engage the wall grant, they said they wouldn't fund, the government said they wouldn't fund anything until the foundation is fixed. So that's where we are there. And then the Town Hall Art Project, we held an artist reception on the current exhibition, which is Small Wonders, and that was well attended, giving the competing events on that beginning weekend of November. And this show will run through December. One item that came up among the artists was that we did not publicize enough that this work is available for sale, but the town has nothing to do with it. We didn't want to be involved. And the artist, it's just between the artist and the buyer. And we do it here because it's really a community event. It supports the arts. We have a lot of people within the Jericho catchment area as well as now in the county and throughout the state that like to come here to show their work because it's great walls, great lighting. And it really is a community kind of event because that way there's the public can see it in a public space. The the next one is going to be interesting though. We are engaging with the Susanna from the MMU Art Department. And we're going to feature work by the students in January. And then after January, because we are now going into a new form of town meeting, Jessica has talked to us about doing a retrospective of town meeting through the years, as well as, the town meeting going forward with, with pictures and paraphernalia. Because we have two collages, I photos that one of our artists who does photographs. But a collage, two of them from town meetings through the years. And that is the base of it. But then she's gonna post on Front Porch Forum, if people have any other things about town meeting that they, pictures and things like that. And then there'll be pictures from the kickoff meeting.
Wayne used to tell me that my grandfather's gavel is somewhere down in the storage somewhere.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool if we went.
The one he used when he was moderator for, I don't know.
No way.
That's cool. Yeah.
That is cool. I mean, that'd be kind of cool if we could find it.
Yeah, down here in this
That's
storage?
what Wayne told me. Yeah, I didn't.
You should ask Jessica, she'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless, he also did the archives of the Historical Society, so I don't know, maybe it's in there.
Oh, maybe.
But anyway, that's kind of cool to both of the town students and then, focus on, town meeting through the years and then town meeting 2.0. And then we start other art in April, but that's what I have to say. But I wanted to, since we were talking about the old Red Mill and seeing the number there, I figured it better. But I didn't know if you wanted to add anything more.
No,
So I'm done.
I had a little bit, just an update from the last JCDC meeting. The biggest one is, and I guess I can email her, but maybe I'll just have Paula do it. We were wondering, we the JCDC were wondering what the property value, or at least the assessed value, if you could reach out to the assessor, would change, like how would it go up if we were to fully get it fully permitted? Right, so we know we want to do something there. One of the things that we might do, we might be selling the property. And either way, you'd have to permit it if we did it or someone else bought it and did it. And so the specific question we have for the assessor is, if it was fully permitted for 5 bedrooms, what we expect it can support based on the test pits that we have dug.
But I think he said that you could have more if you did one of the fancier systems. So you could do more, a couple of more than just maybe 3 duplexes or something, or even 4.
Yeah.
Because the house is separate.
True. Well, maybe we have to, I don't know how you permit if you didn't know that, but.
Well, you'd have to design the septic system first.
So, go ahead, Tom.
For the public record, which property is this?
Oh, the JCBC, we're talking about the house, the property that the town.
Railroad
purchased,
Circle.
At 2 Railroad Circle. Anyway, so we own that property. We're trying to figure out, we've been trying to get as informed as we can about what the smartest decision is to do there. There's lots of things we could do. We could refurbish the house, the existing house. We could split it off and subdivide it and sell the house and barn as is. We could split it off, subdivide it, sell the house refurbished. We could keep it as part of the thing. We have a lot of options and we're trying to just be as informed as we can. One way to inform it would be to just start with the permitting process. And so the first question we have is, if those permits were in place, how would it change the current assessed value?
Because the idea is to have permanently affordable homes over there.
Or at least affordable to begin with, or, you know, we,
Well,
but I,
they really should be, the idea was to have permanently affordable
Yeah.
over there,
which
which means either working with the land trust or, you know,
it would probably be both. It would probably be working with Habitat for Humanity to get it built, and then partner with Champlain Housing Trust to enter into that affordability program.
yeah, and I don't know if Evernorth would be interested in the small, just the one house, but they do renovation. They actually, they're one of the affordable housing groups that do renovations.
Yeah, I think we tried to connect with them a while back. It's been a little bit now, but anyway. So anyway, that's what we'd like to know.
Mhm.
Once we know that, the JCDC may approach the select board and ask for funding to go and get it permitted, just to start doing the process. We're not asking at this point, we don't have an estimate on it or whatever, but we have a different ballpark. It'll be more than the typical 5,000 or whatever. It's probably $20,000.
Yeah, it would be interesting to find out if we could do more bedrooms rather than just the standard what they came up with, because I do remember the part where to get it in more elaborate system, you could do more bedrooms. Because because doing, because if you could get even a couple more, then you could have several, you know, more than just two duplexes or, you know, one with 2 bedrooms, one with 3 bedrooms.
Right.
Did you see that? Shaheen send something like that to you?
So anyway, that was the update. The only other update is our next regular scheduled meeting would happen to fall on Thanksgiving, and the one after that would happen to fall on Christmas. So we bumped it out to the 4th Thursday in January, which also happens to be the town meeting reimagined meeting. So we're definitely not meeting the JCDC until January and maybe not till February.
Right.
Which is fine.
It gives you time to get information.
So you were asking about the value, the assessed value of the property?
Right, I guess, I don't think I'm explaining it right. But right now, the property is worth something, some number.
Yeah.
Let's say I think we paid $375 for
Yeah.
it. So let's say it's worth exactly what we paid,
Yeah.
right? My question is, let's say it's worth the $375. What is it worth if it's fully permitted?
Right.
In other words, like, if we, so I wanna know.
We sink
if we go-
$20,000 into it, and now worth $450.
Right, or does it only raise it 5,000 and we're taking a $15,000
Loss.
back
Right.
if we permit it and then we don't go forward with the permitting?
But are we looking, is the JCD thinking about selling it?
It's certainly an option, yeah.
And
Because
and
what
that
we
would-
could do, I mean,
And
the JCDC wants to be as informed as we can.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options that we consider. One option is we get a lot of feedback about, you know, from the people around there, from the fact that we can only do 5 bedrooms. Yes, we need to look and see if you could spend more on a bigger system or something and do more. How many more would it be? How much more would it be? But for a moment, setting that aside, is there a property somewhere or a way that we could use the money from the sale to affect affordable housing in a different way, maybe perhaps more meaningful? Is there some lot that's ready to go that we could get for 200,000 and we could put 8 bedrooms or 12, you know, like, so that's an option. It's not even saying it's the option. We're just trying to be cautious about spending money on things that let's just see how much let's see what the permitting would look like. Let's see if we can, you know, we're trying to just be smart about it and really try to make a decision on what to do. And so anyway, that will help to inform us.
And I remember there was some controversy from the town meeting about this, because you guys all did it in secret or something. I don't think you did.
We did the purchase.
Secret, which you're supposed to.
Because it's real estate.
Yeah, but the intention when the select board bought it, the intention was to buy it and make it available in affordable housing.
That was the intention, yeah.
Permanently affordable. Permanently. That means.
Well, at
Like,
the
was the
time,
plan to, like, buy it and
at
fix it
the
and-
time, we wanted to explore options. We wanted to be affordable. We weren't sure about would it make sense to put it into, a permanently affordable thing? But yeah, absolutely, affordable housing. We bought it because it was a house for sale. It was in quarter-acre zoning. We, and we still think that there's a ton of potential there, even with what we think we're allowed to. But there's a few restrictions in the fact that, the soil and that and whatnot. So,
The purchase was with the intent of using that property to create affordable housing on that property.
Right.
Now the JCDC is thinking, maybe we should pour money out of that and use it a different way.
Right.
Okay.
like, let's say we could sell it for $500,000 and we could help with wastewater over here in Riverside. Maybe that's a smarter use of that asset. I'm not saying that's the way we're leaning.
But the question is just, we have this property, are we better off developing this and
Right.
making this affordable housing? Or saying, good idea, didn't work out, we're gonna sell it, back out and do this other thing instead.
Right, and permitting will inform us a lot. I just don't want to go and spend
Right.
$25,000 on permitting and being like, you know what, we do want to sell it, and then we didn't add any value by doing the permitting.
Yeah,
So that's
okay.
really what we're just
Okay.
trying to get.
That helps, thank you.
Yeah, because the idea of if you could put 3 duplexes plus a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home,
Yeah.
also, I mean, that's a lot of families that would be helped permanently.
And then they were just, the other discussion was, how do we get another member? What type of member are we looking for?
Who is it now? You, Joe?
Me,
Susan?
Joe, Susan, Harriet, and Bob.
Okay.
Mulcahy. Fantastic group of people, but boy, would we love another Tom, someone like Tom who can go out there. No.
And here he is.
That's true, it would be a nice compliment to Joe's background.
Yeah, actually, we talked a little bit or at length about what the skill set we're looking for, right? So Joe is a fantastic addition because he understands all this stuff. He knows permitting. He does the first stages of construction. So he's perfect for that. And so we were talking about, well, what might another fun skill set be? And he had some idea, which of course I didn't pay attention. It's his idea, right? My idea was maybe we get somebody that's good at going out and getting money, right? Like
That's right.
there are a lot of organizations around
Yes.
that would be benefited by Jericho having more affordable housing.
Yeah.
People like Beta, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
some of these companies that are trying to grow and they can't, people can't,
Yeah.
whatever. So that was an idea of a skill set to look for, somebody that's good at knocking on business doors and like, hey, what about
Making a pitch?
yeah, what about giving us $100,000? Because boy, you can go a lot further with affordability if you start with with some funds, which obviously is what we did with ARPA. That's the whole point of ARPA, right?
Right.
We have it for free, not free, but not tax, not
Jericho
budget,
tax
not Jericho budget dollars, budget tax dollars. So I think that's my update. So.
I just had 2 questions, which was just wondering where we're at with public. The public works hiring.
Oh, yeah.
Advertising.
We have one application.
Oh,
We love that application, or are we like that?
No, I actually think it could be a good potential.
cool.
And what's the-
When did you start running the ad? I forget now.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
I think it was right after the last meeting.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And where are things at with the next meeting with them or interview?
I was waiting a little bit longer to see if anything more came through, but I would like to meet with this person and get a feel for.
Is 2 weeks, what's a municipal hiring, is 2 weeks that like you felt was gonna get, or?
Yeah,
It's a little early.
it is a little early. Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's a month or so.
Yeah,
Sometimes they
It
have-
seems weird to me, right? Like, if I'm looking
3 days,
if I'm looking
like,
for a
you got,
job, I'm like,
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
scanning that thing, and if it's Like,
Well, there's a lot of people looking, like Colchester's also looking for public works people, but they're all looking for the engineers.
Yep.
Engineer 1, engineer 2.
Yep.
oh, that's a good.
Bigger
point.
ones.
So,
And they are definitely those are much higher salaries
Yeah,
yeah,
than what we're
Yep.
asking for.
that makes sense.
yeah.
Because they were in
So
the
you're
same,
saying
they were
maybe,
in the
maybe
same
somebody
7 days.
would be applying for that, hoping for that, maybe
Yeah.
doesn't get it. and
Right.
then
Well,
Right,
yeah,
right.
I see what you
Yeah.
mean. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they were both in the same 7 days.
Mhm.
Or
The
as.
same 7 days article, or within the same 7 days.
7
period?
days magazine.
Ma-
No,
magazine.
the same.
It was in the same newspaper
Okay,
at the same day.
Yeah.
Right. Not coming out.
And
Sometimes people name things in a way that's really hard to.
Keep you on your toes.
Didn't quite understand the whole raceway. We got that email kind of out of nowhere about like, hey, there's this whole plan for raceway. This raceway, like, yeah, raceway.
Yeah.
This raceway, like the demo idea, like they have, I didn't quite follow the email. This email is talking about like putting together a demo, so we can see what it would look like.
Yeah, it
And
was,
then-
it got very
What-
confused, that there was a problem with, that one email went out to a much bigger blast than it should have.
Okay.
And it was really, because turns out, Susan, because Cody is off, he didn't really want to be chair, but nobody else was.
Right, and he's very young. and
He's young and he's travels a lot.
Yeah.
So Susan, the reason she's in a lot of their minutes as well as Sabina, they are actually tutoring the committee.
Oh, okay.
And both of them are on the local motion email
Yeah.
list. And that's why all of a sudden this idea popped up. And it technically Susan and Cody
Neils.
were to go to Paula to talk about whether this was feasible. Instead, it went to an email blast to everybody and people, got confused and went,
Right.
what is it? So I ended up talking the local motion. And it was a very nice conversation. When he talked about, well, have you ever thought about safe, safe
Move to school?
safe road, safe for all, it's like 4S, safe, but
Safe stuff.
safe stuff
Yeah,
for all. And I said, yes, we actually looked at it because we had tried, that was one of the most tries we had to get the MMU grant from sidewalk.
Mhm.
But Jericho does not qualify. We, yes, that's like the MMU section down there. The way, down to, Brown Trace and
Yeah,
Riverbank,
yeah.
that is a dangerous intersection. But thankfully, we've had no fatalities. So that doesn't give you any points. You gotta have fatalities. The other thing is you have to have a census, Blue Jay.
A good way to say that.
Was, they were funding only those that, were really the underserved, designations.
But I'm referring about where things.
I know, but
Okay.
but he had just, but the representative from locomotion had just come back from one of those and was talking about this.
Mhm.
But he said, what this is locomotion sometimes has small money for pop-up demonstrations. And this would have been something on Raceway probably next year, and they still may go to Paul and talk about it.
Mhm.
But when Jacob saw his name on there, and he said, I haven't got time to go to this meeting, I've got these roads to fix.
Jacob Johnson?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and there was and you were on it and things like that. And so but the idea is that they may still come to Paula and talk about it, but the idea, it is a demo that would last for 6 weeks or so, and they would use either flower pots or cones or something to show what would happen if you narrowed the
He did this or that or whatever to Rachel.
and it would only be from like Jerry Hill to Route 15. Rather than the whole road. But the idea is that,
Jerry Hill.
yeah,
The apartment.
the apartment.
Oh, Jerry Hill Apartment, yeah, so
Yeah.
oh, okay, senior service.
Yeah, so that it might make it safer than tomorrow. The problem I told him, I said, well, one, the road crew has no, at this point,
Bandwidth, so.
they have no bandwidth at all. And I said, you know, realistically, this is very early for a demo project because people may forget about it by the time we actually get to do the Raceway sidewalk.
Mhm.
Because we have already approved doing Griswold Packard.
Mhm.
And that's, we can't get a grant for that, because we've already tried grants for that.
Technically, what we approved was option
One,
whatever,
whatever.
whichever it
But-
was, which the main expense part of that was the sidewalk from Griswold to
And that's what we,
Raceway, but
we
the
emphasize that.
plan included Raceway.
Right.
Right.
But on the other hand, we also talked about the potential that Raceway may not end up being the thing, because as you said, you want to go, what stuff happens in the commercial district, you may want to have the sidewalk go over there and through there because of stuff happening. We don't know. I mean, so I said,
You mean down behind
yeah,
like
yeah,
Ace and.
yeah, and say there's more things happening.
Yeah.
Because there was a discussion about that, you know, so there was no guarantee that Raceway was gonna be anytime soon. The focus would be on. Because you have to realize that we had that other scoping study for Route 15, and we applied every year with a different segment, and then actually I think we might have done Griswold twice.
Mhm.
And they turned us down every time and said, nah, because there isn't, the state now is the one, giving out sidewalk grants rather than Chittenden County getting its own pool.
Mhm.
And so you're competing with a lot more things, and they're looking at much more, we thought the Griswold Packard was pretty good because that's a denser thing, but now that it's in both scoping studies, it should have more oomph to get that one funded. And once we start
That
building,
still isn't funded.
no, and we haven't applied because they won't look at us because you looked at how many sidewalks we have in play right now.
Mhm.
And you really need to show that, and especially the one that we've been sitting on, because we had to redo the engineering and everything else in the grid, because we didn't want to go through, another domain to get the. So they would not look kindly on another application until we showed that we'd at least started something. With one.
We've been given money for it.
Yeah. So, but that's where it is. So we had a very nice conversation, but that's what happened. I mean, but it is, you know, it's an interesting concept and it still may happen, you know, cute little flowers and stuff, but it can't, it's not a permanent solution. And would people forget about it by the time we ever got
Got
there?
around to something.
So,
Makes sense.
so I talked to Susan about it, I talked to the representative, Jack, I think his name was, from local motion. But they, you know, have sometimes these little, you know, for a few $1,000 grants.
Mhm.
But the town would still have to put in, I think, you know, the road crew would still have to do that.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you got, Paul?
I have a few things. We have ordered the red flashing lights for the stop signs. So hopefully those will be here next week.
That's what's fascinating. I wanted those years ago. And
Really?
I did.
Just for right there, just for.
No, we're actually gonna do them down here and then on Plains Road and Skunk Hollow.
That's wonderful. I wanted it years ago. when we were doing
By the white fence? By the house with the white fence?
Yes,
Oh, the three at the
yes.
top?
Yep,
But
yep, right there.
both, I think it was Wayne and, I think Tim was still on board, thought I was crazy.
Really?
It was just too sparkly, too much, you know.
I
just
think
put the
it'll
stop-
help.
Yeah, put the stop signs that we.
I drive there, I do that every single day. And every time I pull up, I'm like, no, like, there's a stop sign, you stop there, and then you creep forward and you go.
Right.
Like, I was like, and I saw all the posts on Front Porch Forum and whatever, got emails. Like, has there ever been an accident there?
Not that
Like,
I'm
I'm like-
aware of.
I hear what you're saying about bad visibility, but
The intersection by my house is like every month.
like, there's never been an accident.
Right,
But I
right.
never responded. I thought we hadn't talked about it. I was like, yeah,
right.
I'm gonna care because there's never been an accident there. What's the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the top three intersections for accidents are the Skunk Hollow River Road, Barber Farm River Road,
Wait, Skunk Hollow River Road, okay, yep.
Barber Farm River Road, and Barber Farm at the bottom, there's been a few accidents, those were the top three.
No,
Brown Trace. Sorry,
Brown Space, Lee River, Range Road,
that one.
that, you know, confluence.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yes,
The Tony's
the bottom of the hill,
getting-
yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
So we're putting lights on which one?
So we're putting them on the 3 down here. When you're entering Lee River from 15. Plains Road, and then the other side of Lee River as you're coming to 15. So there'll be 3 there and then 3 on Plains Road and Skunk Hollow.
How many cost?
They weren't that bad. I think you said they were like I don't know, 150 bucks or something.
And what, how do they say how do they power?
They're solar.
solar.
You've got the right size solar panels?
I hope so. Jacob ordered them, so I hope so.
Well, I
We
do
actually
notice that
found out-
Far more stop signs have it on them.
I
Everywhere,
do too. Yeah, I seen them too.
all over the
Mhm.
airport, in fact.
Yeah,
UVM also.
yeah.
Um,
Our new highway guy started.
hold
Oh,
Tom
Oh.
Dawson again. Well, I know there's been discussion about, the intersection of Skunk Hollow and Plains Road. And I used to commute through there for like 20+ years and never had a problem with that, never had a conflict with
Right.
the vehicle. I guess I don't really understand the
yeah,
problem there. I do think the stop sign is not placed. well.
like it should be up more.
further ahead, 'cause you really, to see anything.
You gotta creep.
gotta
Yep,
stop and
yep,
creep.
yep, yep. Yeah, I agree.
I agree, I do it every day.
Mhm. Yes, yes. The new highway guy started, November
I'm
4th,
wondering if, I was just looking at today, I was wondering, so with that, are we fully staffed?
5.
That-
We
that's
saw
full?
5. Nope, 6.
6 is full?
Mhm. Yep,
This replaced one of the other ones.
yep.
We still need to replace Roger.
And I told you about the Public Works. We have an ad, and then last, Chris Flynn stepped down. He's not interim anymore for town planner. Chris Shaheen is feeling pretty good about taking off and running, so.
Did he put some step down?
Chris Flynn, remember we appointed him as interim
Step down as
town.
the interim.
Yes,
Chris Sheen is now, has his feet up.
he's going. Yep. Yep. So that's all I have.
Great.
Oh, and you guys, I gave you a copy of
Yeah, what is that?
Livy. Yep,
Just general update.
yep, just an information on the dog. She worked with, I guess, our animal control officer, Olivia, to kind of create this.
So, speaking of did it all get resolved with her and then the other dog owner and the dog bite? and
We
everything?
followed up, yep, with, the one on Willow. They followed up, both myself and Olivia did, and that had been taken, we believe has been taken care of. Even the victim went over and spoke with the dog owner, and she felt pretty good. She
Like an
called me
agreement.
after that. Yeah, yeah,
Went over
yep.
and they closed
Yes,
the
yep.
dog.
Yeah, yep. So, and then the other one on Hanley Lane, the mother called and said that that issue has been taken care of as well. Yes,
Great.
That's great.
yeah,
Executive session?
We gotta do minutes.
Minutes.
Oh,
no minutes.
Wait, moving on. Yes.
I have one.
I have one too.
Excellent.
You
I imagine
really-
It's the same one. Well, it seemed obvious.
Oh, maybe not. No, mine's not a big, mine's pretty minor.
Okay.
Well, you go. Now I'm curious. about yours.
Well, you go,
Line 40,
40.
worded,
He said he hopes that-
now I gotta pull it up. Line 40. You don't see it. There's a no in there that
Oh,
just
yes.
needs to be
Yeah.
removed.
No consideration.
yeah,
So
Wait.
remove the word no.
He said that.
No, shouldn't the word be there?
No. I don't think so.
He's saying he hopes that there is no consideration of putting in a well there.
There
Oh,
is,
that's
So
right.
close to the old landfill.
That's exactly right, because
He's saying, I hope we're not gonna put a well, not gonna put a well there because there's a landfill right there.
so keep it.
yeah,
This was on the
You're right.
floor at the back of the room.
Oh, okay. Thank you
Oh,
very
yeah,
much.
I guess I read that weird.
Thank you.
Like,
It's weirdly written, it's a weird sentence, but that's what I thought was that he's saying,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you're not putting a well there because you're right by the landfill.
yeah, because I didn't. think
yeah,
about it.
but why would you?
Bye,
why
take
would
care,
you say
Tom.
Not to consider it, but anyway, you're right, now that I think about
Because
it,
he wanted a water line.
I thought he was saying we should make sure we have consideration.
Right,
But,
right, yeah.
no,
It's a weird, he was nervous and I think it was.
yeah, you're right, so
Yeah.
that's probably accurate, all right, well, that's all I had, darn it, wasn't even that.
I've got
Darn it.
465.
465? Holy moly.
This is me talking to the VLCT of the select board. And line 465 says the VLCT representative said that we probably can expand with a vote, but maybe not. And they definitely did not say you probably can. I would like that to be changed to you may be able to.
Said we may be able to.
Expand with a level roof.
That it?
And so I'm-
I have, I mean, that actually is, probably a little more than technical, so it's a very good push, to put that kind of language. I have, line 13, Steve who? And Brian who? So we need to get names.
I have them on the sign-in sheet, so I will definitely put that, or I should
That
have.
is important.
Is Brian,
There's lots of Brian's.
was that, Brian Stevens?
I don't think he was on.
Mm-mm, no.
So anyway, that's what I had. So
I
anyway,
mean, that sometimes we can, but like, I don't know that we can force people to
Yeah,
on Zoom, like. That guy joined with the, I mean, he said his
iPhone.
name. But like, I don't know that we have the ability to say you can't listen unless you tell us your.
but theoretically, if they're going to participate, they need to give your name because they have to be, who's attending.
Right, I get that too, but it
Not sure what the-
it seems
what the
weird to be
legality,
able to
like,
say.
You
We
can't
can't
let them know
continue,
who
we
you
can't
are,
continue the meeting until
to identify yourself.
Donna tells me who she really is, or like, it just doesn't make sense.
Maybe we should, I mean, there's,
I don't want to spend a lawyer call.
But I was thinking, don't
Well, we could
No,
ask
no,
the
no.
LCT, maybe that's an email to the
Well,
LCT, like, look,
actually, BLCT has an update,
yeah, maybe included in whatever hybrid changes they made. or
They just
something.
made, because they talked about that there's a free thing that you go to now.
Right, because we don't record everybody that's watching live on.
No, but they're not participating either.
Right, but
But you could be sitting there.
this Brian guy may not have, I don't remember.
That's true. I mean, but theoretically,
Yeah.
that's what it's always has been, but it may not be, when you said legal, I mean, or required. It's hard to tell because, here you have to,
Yeah, no, I get both sides.
yeah. So anyway, we need a motion to expect, the, minutes with corrections.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of October 17th, 2024 as amended. I'll do amendments.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
And I will make a motion to go into executive session because premature disclosure of the information would be detrimental to the parties involved for reasons of personnel and legal, and I would like to invite Paula Carrier to the executive session.
And we do need one? Yeah, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.